Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 86. We're available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian podcast, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. First, we're going to talk about the Nintendo workplace story. Then we'll talk about our recent activities in gaming and anime, including Overwatch 2 and Horimiya. Afterwards, our thoughts on the Moon Knight season finale. Next, a whole bunch of news in gaming and entertainment, including PlayStation, Twitch, Sonic Prime, and many more. Lastly, our thoughts on the Washington Post story on TSM. So, first, it looks like the Nintendo workplace story has escalated a bit. A lot faster than I think either of us really expected, but it seems like former people and current people have sort of come out and spoke to different outlets, including IGN and the Washington Post. So yeah, it is pretty much the way Nintendo is treating these employees is that the contractors are taking on workloads as much as full-time employees, and they are also treated as, I believe the way they describe it, as second-class citizens, which obviously in any workplace you do not want to be treated like that, whether you're a contractor, seasonal, whatever the case is. Obviously everyone wants to be treated as a human being. So it sucks that Nintendo of America in particular is doing these to their employees. And Reggie, who also spoke in both articles, sort of was like, yeah, when I was there, that wasn't a thing. So I'm not exactly sure what happened between now and then. Obviously, he doesn't know either, but something must have happened where stuff was going down. I believe the IGN story was talking about how the Wii U and the 3DS, those were sort of fumbles in Nintendo's eyes, and I'm pretty sure in everyone's eyes, just because it wasn't selling well, and Nintendo's profits obviously also plummeted exponentially because of the Wii U. So that obviously had to be a factor in there, but either way, it's definitely not okay to be doing this to people that love Nintendo, that want to work for your company, and the fact that we have seen many people step away from the company working for them, including what's their names? The goddamn Nintendo Minute people. It's in the IGN article. I'm trying to scroll. Yang and Ellis, those two people, those were pretty much Kit and Krista, if I could be more specific with the first names. Those were people that people thought were going to stick with Nintendo for as long as possible, but obviously they branched off and now they're doing their own stuff, I believe. So, yeah, not good.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically in the IGN article, it's actually a really good read if you want to, like, anyone wants to learn more about all this. Basically, like they said, the Wii U and the 3DS were both like pretty like bad in terms of sales, especially compared to the DS and the Wii. And that's probably what Reggie was talking about, because he was mostly during that era of Nintendo. Like he had a lot of the Wii U and stuff to deal with as well. But for the most part, they were experiencing that like big boom with the DS and Wii, where they were just like making billions of dollars or millions of dollars and stuff. Like they could hire a bunch of full-time employees and not really worry about it too much. But ever since the 3DS and Wii U, in the article it says that they were just like sort of not laying off people, but were kind of like pressuring people to retire more. They were hiring a lot more contractors and not really full-timers, because you have to give them benefits and whatnot. That comes with the perks of being a full-time employee in a lot of places. So I guess Nintendo just thought it was easier to just have a bunch of contractors doing their work for them and just have less full-time people, so they don't have to deal with all the benefits and all that, because that's more costly. And I guess, even though the Switch has been more, or is probably going to outpace the Wii at some point, I would think so. Yeah. You would think they would have another big boom with a bunch of more full-time employees coming in, because apparently they need it. And the article also said, like localization, they need more full-timers and stuff, but Nintendo just isn't doing it. And I guess that's because Nintendo's just scared of another failure where they have to like actually lay off people this time, and they keep hiring people. So it's like, okay, we just get contractors forever and make them do our work. So obviously that hasn't been great, because all these contractors have been working like full-time employees without any of the benefits, so yeah, it's been leading to a lot of frustration with a lot of these employees, as Travis said, they're being treated like second-class citizens because they get like no benefits or anything. So
yeah, and I'm not exactly sure why that is still going, whether it's because of people that are running the company or whatever culture that they have there, but it is crazy to me that they just don't want to hire more people, despite the fact that they obviously need it. if I was working in this environment, whether it's at Nintendo or my current job, if something like this would have happened, I would just fucking quit. Whatever. Like this shit is not worth it. Not worth it for your mental health. The money that you're getting paid and shit like that. Like people want to be treated like people, and I think that's what I believe Jen said at the end of the article, who was a former contractor / employee at Nintendo who wanted a full-time position for so long, but she just never got it. And the crazy thing was when she was in an interview and she had to leave due to the death of her sister. The interviewer said attendance issues, and I'm like, that's it's kind of shitty, bro. like what the fuck.
I think that's an issue we're seeing. We see a lot with the gaming stuff, but it's like a big thing everywhere. Mostly in tech, that I noticed that these workplace environments just run you to the ground. If it's either with the harassment, like with Activision and Blizzard, or with like the overworkedness of like Nintendo or a lot of the other companies that just like work you to the ground. It's like a big issue with a lot of these places, and it could be that Nintendo is more of a Japanese thing, so they have higher expectations for workers, as in like never take breaks or anything, which is still really bad because Japan has whole other issues. But as Americans, I can only speak for what we should be like, standardizing, being unions and stuff. And if someone wants to take like a week off, either for themselves or for some unrelated issue, like maybe an illness or something else, and they should be able to do that with no questions asked, at least in my opinion. And unions should just be standard throughout, like, everywhere, because, they help, like, a ton with, like, worker rights and stuff. So, yeah, this is definitely a big issue that hopefully Nintendo will fix, and basically just need to hire more full-time, like, people, and, like, these contractors that have been working for years and years, they should just be full-time people with like all the benefits that come with it. So, and it's no excuse because Nintendo has been doing so well lately. So yeah, it just makes them look bad.
Yeah, they have all the money and the resources to do so, but it seems like that they just don't want to for whatever reason. And I think that it's crazy that the like translator and editors, I believe the IGN article cites, is that like most of them are contractors, and I'm like, don't you just need those people like on staff at full time or some shit, because the games are coming from Japan, so you kind of need people who know Japanese and who can translate them efficiently in a fast enough turnaround time that the games aren't, as delayed or released at the same time as Japan and shit like that. And one thing that I also found really weird, obviously because they're contractors compared to full-time employees, that like they just treat them differently and like they're not able to participate in like everything. And the fact that one manager had to fight for the contractors to participate in an LGBTQ sort of pride parade thing, that they weren't able to participate. I'm like, what the hell? This shit seems so harmless and so like sort of, if you want to participate in it. Like if that's something that you feel passionate about, and especially because the person that wanted to participate was a person of color and also part of the LGBTQ community. Meanwhile, she was like, this is like this white woman and this white guy, and I'm like, oh shit. It looks that looks really bad. So according to her, that was like the one and only time that they sort of coincided with each other in an activity, which is crazy to me. But obviously, Reggie, when he was talking about with his time at Nintendo, he recalled, especially in the Washington Post video, was like he didn't describe the contractors as contractors. I believe he said associates or something like that.
Yeah.
But he made sure that they were treated just as much, fairly as the full-time employees were. So, obviously it's his word against ours. We don't exactly know how much of that is true, but it definitely sucks to see that Nintendo as a company is being exposed like this, and people are definitely going to think twice now when they buy a Nintendo game, because I'm definitely thinking like that now. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to buy Kirby. I haven't bought it yet, but I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to buy it now. We'll see. I definitely want to play it and try it out, but with everything that's going on, it does make me a little hesitant to buy Nintendo products. But I'm definitely going to be eating my words within the next episode 100%. I feel it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Like, it's it's just crazy that we haven't heard anything bad about Nintendo till now. And obviously this has been happening for like a while now. But it's pretty crazy how tight-lipped they were, like just making sure employees like either don't leak things or like just make sure it's like, oh, we're fine, everything's fine. Because Nintendo's always been a pretty secretive company in terms of like figuring out the inner workings. Like we like, you know, a lot of other gaming companies, we know how they work, we know what studios they have. Like Nintendo's always been really like aloof with that stuff. It's always been like kind of distant. I mean, I guess the only good thing about this is at least there's no sexual allegations yet. But that's a really, really low bar at this point. So yeah, they definitely need better working conditions, and hopefully this like pressures Nintendo to like actually like, you know, support these contractors and make them to full-time employees, because you know, especially because they've been working so hard. Like, you know, the games have been, you know, making, and the localizations especially have been like really great lately, and a lot of these games come out the same time as the Japan, like, you know, there used to be a time, you know, where the NA release used to be like at least a year or like a few months apart from the Japanese releases, but now everything's worldwide, and you know, I feel like the localization teams definitely need like more support and more pay, because they do a good job. You know, localization is great in Nintendo games, you know, make me laugh sometimes, and they just come out really fast. So if they're getting treated like garbage, that seems really like bad.
Yeah, so, yeah. And the IGN article once again cites that the Pokemon Company, you know, they do this very frequently where they convert contractors to full-time, which, you know, obviously Nintendo could do that, but they just seem very reluctant on it. And like you said, the whole secretive thing, that's just part of Nintendo's brand, I guess, with them being very much in their own corner, doing their own thing, not really talking to anybody. But at the same time, it's like, the fuck's going on, guys? Yeah,
it is pretty like I guess disheartening, but I don't know. I feel like with all the things going on, we kind of should suspect every company to just be kind of awful at this point. Yeah. So like, I think it's kind of arrogant. Oh, not my Nintendo. I mean, yeah, of course they're gonna be like kind of like this too. It's just like how it is, unfortunately. So, yeah, it just kind of breeds into a whole another issue where we just need to make unions more standardized, and like. These big tech companies really do need to, like, you know, we need to regulate them a little more and stuff, but that's like a whole other thing. That's
holding them more accountable and shit like that. But yeah, what the fuck was the thought that I just had? Goddamn. Oh, when that like news article came out about like Animal Crossing New Horizons was like, yeah, you know, we're not gonna do crunch, and people were like, yeah, and now it's like, well, you've seen your contractors like shit, so.
It's like every time Nintendo says something good, then there's probably going to be something we don't even know about that's been happening behind the scenes, which again, really unfortunate. I mean, I don't know if they're really doing crunch, but it has been like they just haven't been getting like, I guess, you know, what they should be getting. So whatever, same difference is now being treated badly. So
but yeah, very interesting. I hope I can read Reggie's book sometime this summer, because it's supposed to be like a memoir thing, and hopefully a lot of insight about his work at Nintendo, which should be a good read. So hopefully I'll read that later this summer. But anything else you got to say on this story, Damian, before we get into our recent activities?
No, but hopefully Nintendo actually does, you know, do something about this, because I mean, I don't think they will, because Nintendo has never been one to budge with like public discourse. I don't think like ever.
I mean, like unless like you know, state and government agencies sort of come in, because like the way that they're treating contractors is 100% not okay, and like is against the law. So
you know. Unless it's like actual legal ramifications, then they will. But if it's just like the internet's mad at them, they probably won't care, which is like very unfortunate. But it's kind of just how they work.
All right, so let's talk about our recent activities. I'll go first, actually. Okay. So, very interesting. I started playing League a little bit. These past 2 days, I've played some League. Just by myself for fun.
Wow, that's even crazier.
Yeah. I was actually having fun. I was actually enjoying myself. I'm not necessarily relearning the game. I guess I kind of am, because like there's a whole bunch of new items and shit like that, and like runes and like what's different and like what's good and shit like that. But I'm having fun, because like I'm just like not caring when I'm going into these ranked games. Just like, all right, if someone's gonna be an asshole and be like tilted, like whatever, you know. If someone ends, you know, like it's just a bad game, because like my investment isn't as highly as like these people are. So I get it, but you know, just having fun. Try to play some TFT. That didn't go so well. But good thing I can't demote out of platinum, so I'm gonna just wait for the new set to come out, and then we'll go from there. Because like at this point, I don't know what the fuck's good and like shit like that. So, but Valorant's still fun. I very much enjoy playing that game. Yeah, and when I play competitive with my girlfriend, it is always very, very funny because we just get very interesting teammates, and I'm just out here fucking yelling and screaming, and she's like, calm down, and I'm like, fuck, probably should, tone the gamer rage down a little bit, but it's fine. But yeah, now for some manga and anime shit. So everything you're going to see is backwards because I got the webcam, but, I've been reading more Horimiya. I'm on volume 13. I'm like halfway through it. It's still fun and enjoyable. I actually rewatched the anime because I wanted to show it to my girlfriend as well, and she enjoyed it. She found it to be very cute because it is a slice of life romance comedy that very much gets to the point where the two main characters get together very, very quickly within the anime. So
crazy.
Yeah, I know, right? So, if you want to get into Horimiya, I would definitely recommend watching the anime first, despite them jumping around between chapters and shit like that and not exactly being like a faithful adaptation, if you will. It's still a very good watch, and I think that it still holds up, and I honestly appreciate it way more now that I've read a lot of the manga at this point. So next thing I got is Kaiju number 8. I've read volume 2. This is a great fucking manga. It is so funny and very much action-packed still. If I had to compare it to a current ongoing shonen, I guess Jujutsu Kaisen in a sense, but it's definitely leaning more towards the comedy aspect. I've seen people compare it to Attack on Titan, which I don't think that's a good comparison in my opinion. But Kaiju number 8, yeah, if you want a new shonen to read, definitely check it out, especially if you like kaijus. Teaser Master Tagaki-san, volume 14. Pretty much, classic for me. Pretty much just more of what season 3 adapted, so I pretty much knew what was going to happen, but still enjoyed it. And then Boys Run the Riot. This is a LGBTQ sort of friendly storyline about this boy trying to grow a clothing brand, and they stumble across some other kids from their high school, their part-time job, and it's pretty much them trying to figure out who they are as a person, and I think that it handles that sort of storyline and those elements very, very well. So I enjoy it. There's only 4 volumes to it, so it's actually pretty short, so I will hopefully finish it by next episode. But Boys Run the Riot, if you want to read a story about LGBTQ characters and them trying to figure out what it means to discover themselves, if you will, I think that this story does it very, very well. Now for anime, Kashigato. This is the anime that I talked about last episode about this hentai artist or this naughty mangaka, and he's trying to hide it from his daughter. And still the same old, funny, goofy laughs and shit like that throughout the 11 episodes. And then episode 12 got really real. Like that shit got crazy. I was like, what the fuck is going on? But it all wraps up in the end. Not gonna say if it's good or bad, but the final episode was probably like one of the best finales I've seen in a 12 to 13 episode anime in a while. So that's honestly, like, when I was watching the show, I was definitely feeling that it was like a 7 out of 10 show. Like, it's good, but it's not like something that I would like recommend like at a heartbeat if you want to watch something that's comedy based, slice of life sort of thing. Because like most of the jokes didn't land in my opinion, but some of them were kind of funny and goofy when I was like into it. But the final episode honestly bumped it up like a whole ass point because it was just fucking amazing. I was like, the way that they wrapped this shit up, perfect. But yeah, if you want to watch it, you can. Not necessarily recommending it, but it is on Crunchyroll now because it was on Funimation exclusively. Komi Part 2 is now on Netflix. It is coming out weekly. And yeah,
I didn't even know that was happening.
Yeah, they're just pumping out more Komi. Obviously, just like last time that it was on Netflix, it is behind slightly from the Japanese release. So I'm, just gonna wait for Netflix to release those episodes, but still good. It's pretty much just Komi season 1 part 2, if you will. But they're just calling it Komi Can't Communicate Part 2. It is what it is. Yeah, still more of the same. Enjoying it. If you guys don't know what Komi Can't Communicate is, it's about this girl named Komi who can't talk because she has really, really bad social anxiety, if that's how I could put it. Then the last thing I started to watch, because I finished Kashigato, hopefully I pronounced that right, I probably didn't. Ranking of Kings. This is an anime that was really, really hyped up last season, and I didn't watch it, so I was like, okay, what the fuck is up with Ranking of Kings? And it is great, honestly. Like, after watching the first 4 episodes now, I am really enjoying it. There's 23, so hopefully that by the end of it, I am 100% like in love with it. I love Boji as a character. I didn't know much about it, so I'm not gonna give away too much. But
well, what is it though? Like, is it a?
It's pretty much about this boy who isn't that good, but he is the next person in line to become king. So obviously there's like politics involved. There's like a tragic backstory with certain characters. Yeah, you know, like it looks like honestly the fucking animation is beautiful. It looks like a Paper Mario sort of like thing.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay.
And yeah, the sort of themes are darker than usual, than something that you would see with a show that looks like this. And I am really enjoying it. I love all of these characters. You know, they are all flawed within their own ways, and I am very much eager to see how the story progresses, because you know there are 23 episodes and the manga is still going. So, you know, I wonder if we're gonna get a season 2 or what have you. But hopefully that by the end of it, I am in love with it, because, like I said, it looks beautiful. The storyline so far is pretty good, and the characters are, you know, fun and enjoyable to watch. So
that's that sounds good.
Definitely recommend it.
yeah, that sounds like something I would like, honestly. So I never even heard of that. All right, so for my stuff, I got COVID like 2 weeks ago, so I was kind of a little out of it. So I actually did play quite a bit though, because I finished my finals. You know, it was a pretty busy, few weeks, but I was able to play kind of a lot of stuff. First one is something I totally forgot what was happening. Was the Overwatch 2 beta. So I wasn't like invited through like the email thing, because I didn't sign up for it. But when I came home from like my last final, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna sit down, like relax. And then I saw on Twitch, it was like people were streaming. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll watch a bit. And then they were doing the Twitch drop thing, where it was only like an 8-hour window, and you had to watch a stream for like 4 hours to get it. So it's like a really tight window, and I was just in the right place at the right time, I guess. I'm like, okay, I guess I just leave in my other monitor while I'll do something else. I watched a little bit, but I wasn't watching like the full 4 hours. So I got the drop and I played it. And this has been like really mixed with a lot of people. I think Donkey did a video and just shout out. But I guess in terms of me, the big changes is that it's now 5v5 instead of 6v6. So the original format for Overwatch was 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 2 DPS. Now it's only 1 tank and then 2 healers, 2 DPS. And as a result, the game is a lot more aggressive now. As in, healers probably get dive a lot more than they usually would, because there's less shields. I mean, overall, there's less shields in general, which I kind of like. In the original Overwatch, like, everyone had a fucking shield, and you were just shooting shields most of the time. They rebalance a lot of the tanks. I think Reinhardt's shield is not as strong anymore. Orisa's completely reworked, so she doesn't even have a shield anymore. Doomfist is a tank now, and he also doesn't have a shield. He kind of just blocks for himself. So yeah, the game is geared to be a lot more aggressive now. Just with the 5v5 twos, like you could, you just go in more. And tanks they just do a lot more damage. They're more aggressive with their reworks and stuff. And overall, I kind of like it. I know and I played support for a good bit of this. And a lot of people saying supports are very weak right now, and that they get dove a lot. I don't know. I was fine. I didn't feel like I was dying as much as I thought I was. Like, I don't know. I personally didn't I played Lucio, and I know he doesn't get affected as much with these things because he's like really good. But I don't know, for me, it kind of felt the same, if I'm going to be honest. Like, seeing one less person is kind of nice, or I guess 2 less people, while like a bunch of ults happening at once. Ults also charge a bit slower because tanks don't give you as much ult charge as they used to do. But yeah, basically the 5v5, some people are gonna like it, some people hate it. I'm kind of like indifferent about it. I'm gonna have to wait and see until like people are actually like better at the game again. I mean, I wasn't even that good at the game to begin with. I was like platinum, so it wasn't like that big of a deal. But I'm not like the end all be all with Overwatch skill or whatever. But I'm gonna have to wait and see. Some people saying, "Oh, I hate it so much," or "Oh, I love it so much." It's definitely like I don't know yet. I do like a lot of reworks they did with the heroes. Orisa, she used to just be a pretty generic tank. She had like a shield, a machine gun, and like that's it. She didn't really have too much that really like unified her. Now she has like a spear, so she could like throw her spear and like impale people on the wall, which is pretty sick. It's like a big helicopter thing. She like sucks people in and puts the thing down. And she feels a lot better. I definitely like Orisa a lot now. They changed who else they did? Oh, Bastion. Bastion got reworked. he doesn't turn to like a turret anymore. You can like move around as like an ability now, and his ult is now like artillery strikes. So like becomes like a mortar. Like he's really fun now too. They also reworked someone else kind of a lot, and I'm forgetting. But yeah, there was a bunch of tiny little reworks, and for the most part, I think they're pretty good. I like a lot of character balance. The new hero feels a little weak. Sojourn, she's like she doesn't have a hit scan weapon. It kind of feels like Soldier's weapon, but it's like projectiles that shoot really fast, so it's kind of awkward to aim with her. But the whole point is you're supposed to shoot a lot, and you get like a charge, and then you can shoot like a rail gun, which is like a hit scan type thing, and that's fun. Her ult kind of sucks though. You just kind of get a bunch of like railgun shots. Originally she was supposed to get like a giant laser, which looked cooler, but I guess that didn't happen. But yeah, overall it's still Overwatch. I mean, I liked Overwatch a lot when I played it. It was probably like the last competitive game I kind of got into. And you know, I kind of just want more content, because that's kind of the whole thing with this game, is that a lot of people are upset that it's basically the same. And it is. I mean, they did sit down in BlizzCon. I don't want to defend it that much, because I'm still like kind of mixed on it as well. I said this shouldn't be a sequel to Overwatch. It should have just been updates this whole time. But they did say the PvP part of the game was supposed to just be like basically the same game, just with new heroes and maps and stuff. And the real new content was the PvE portion of the game, which is what they're really focusing on for the sequel. Like that's the whole reason they made the whole new engine and stuff. But honestly, they should have just opened up with like a PvE beta. Like, show what's new with Overwatch. Like, show what you've been working on for like all these years and stuff, and like get more faith into the players and be like, oh, this is really different. Them doing this P beta with only one new hero and some changes that some people don't even like, that's gonna, you know, make you get clowned on, especially after all the shit Blizzard's been doing over the years. Like, I feel like they kind of needed this to be a bit more of a success than anything. But I do have feelings that this beta will change a lot from release, because and I know a lot of AAA games have came out recently and the betas have been basically the same thing. But as someone that did play the Overwatch 1 beta when that came out, like in 2015, 16, a lot of things did change from beta to release, at least character balance wise. I think 5v5 is going to stick around, because I think too much balance is the right focus on that. But a lot of character abilities, or if you think a character is too overpowered, I think that will get changed. Like Bastion used to have like a shield, like when he went to turret form, which was like outrageous, and they changed that. So I definitely think like stuff like that will get changed. But yeah, for the most part, it's Overwatch. I can't really say much more. Hopefully they add more. They really do need to add a lot more to this to make it feel like it's worthwhile. I mean, it's free if you have Overwatch already. It's like a free upgrade, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna play more betas to get to like see what's going on with it. But right now it's still fun because I liked Overwatch to begin with. But yeah, that's about that. So Lego Star Wars. So I kind of bought this because again, I was COVID and I didn't feel like sitting on my computer. I felt like playing something like, you know, on my couch, and it was either this or Elden Ring. I'm not gonna play Elden Ring when I'm like sick. So I'm gonna get Lego Star Wars because I heard it was good. And yeah, it's a ton of fun. I did all the prequels and I'm starting the original trilogy right now. And yeah, I think the game is a lot of fun. I have no basis on this. I think I talked about this last time. I'd never really played a Legos game before. I think I played like one, and that's about it. So I can't really comment on how like different it is. I mean, I kind of can, because I kind of got the gist of the other Lego games, but like I can't tell you like I'm a longtime fan or anything, because I'm not. But just from what I'm playing, it's like a really great recreation of these movies and stuff. Like the game. I know the older Lego games were more linear in terms of how they were. Like you would just go through levels and a bunch of puzzles and stuff. This Lego game is basically an open world game, right? So you have like your hub, wherever like planet you're on has a big hub area with a bunch of collectibles and stuff. And then you do story missions. I think there's 5 story missions for each movie. So they don't take that long. I think it's like an hour and a half per movie, or 2 hours like per movie. So it's not too long if you're just going through the story. But like basically the main gameplay is exploring all the planets and stuff, and I think they've done a great job. I think a lot of the planets look really good. It basically feels like an open world 3D platformer. Basically, like it feels like a Mario Odyssey or something, where you just collect these Kyber bricks everywhere, which are basically like stars, and you can use that to upgrade your characters. Get a bunch of like money to buy more characters, do side missions to get, you know, more ships and characters. You know, it's all about unlocking shit. So I know like Lego is big on that, just unlocking everything, dopamine, like like money. And it does that really well. I actually really enjoy myself. It feels like a 3D platformer with with Star Wars characters, and it's like really cool. I like that part a lot. The story missions are a lot of fun too. I actually like the cutscenes a lot. I know some people don't like the voice acting in Lego games, but I think they're funny. Like, they're not like laugh out loud funny, but they made me chuckle pretty consistently, which is nice. They really, especially the prequels, they definitely riffed on them a lot. Like, they really go ham on the memes, which is cool. But yeah, I just been enjoying myself a lot. I think the game looks great. It performs okay. I'm playing on PS5, and there's some parts where like stutters kind of a little too much for like a Lego game. I know it's because the engine is like a custom made engine, so like that's probably why it's like that. But yeah, no, the game is a ton of fun. If you like Star Wars and just want to re-experience these movies like in like a fun cartoony way, then this is the way to go. I'm really enjoying myself. And it's funny because I've never watched episode 8 or 9, and this is probably gonna be my first time experiencing those movies is through Lego form.
No,
so.
not the Lego joke.
So yeah, that's gonna be fun. I probably am gonna rewatch the movies at some point. It's been a while, but yeah, Lego Star Wars it's a good time. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I think by next podcast episode we could talk about it more because I'm gonna start playing it this Sunday. So
yeah, it's a ton of fun. I know it's co-op too, so like if you want to play with her, you could do that. it's fun.
Probably will.
All right, so so next big game, Rogue Legacy 2. This is probably the big roguelite of this year. Because everyone's talking about it now. The game actually came out early access 2 years ago, which is crazy.
Holy shit!
I bought it when it came out in early access, but only played a little bit of it because I don't like playing games in early access because I feel like I burn myself out too much, and then like I don't want to play it when the full release comes out. So I kind of just buy it. I'm like, here's my money. Make something cool. I know you'll make something cool because the first one was good, and that's about it. So I didn't touch it for like 2 years until it came out. I done the first boss. That's all I've done so far. And yeah, the game is really fun. So I actually have been the first Rogue Legacy when it came out like in 2013 or something. Like, it's been a really long time.
Yeah, the game's old.
Yeah, it's really old at this point. And I loved it. It was one of the first roguelites, I think, that had that, I don't know what you call it, but that progression where you could keep upgrading yourself per run. Because most roguelites like Isaac or Gungeon, you get like unlocks for like later runs, but you don't get like, stat increases or things to make your runs easier. Like, usually that's not really a thing in other roguelites, but this game was one of the first ones that did it. And then Hades did that even more hard like later because Hades like made that game could be really easy. You just keep upgrading yourself. Rogue Legacy isn't as easy like with that. Like, you could still upgrade yourself and be stronger than you were if you didn't have any upgrades, but I don't think it's as ridiculous as Hades was with that. But basically it's a 2D side scroller. You explore around like the different biomes. You could get different Metroidvania type upgrades that are permanent during some runs, and of course during the run you can get like different, like I think they're called relics, that are basically like your items in other roguelites to help your runs better. You do better in your run. And the whole gimmick of it is when you die, you could pick your next sort of like heir to like the run. So you would pick like 3 random characters. They would have different character classes at random, and usually they have some kind of like debuff or buff on them that either makes your run harder or easier. The benefits of having, more overpowered perks is, obviously the runs are easier, but if you handicap yourself, you actually get more gold per run, so you could get more upgrades to make runs easier. So it's like a whole nice feedback loop that feels really good. And just in terms of gameplay itself, I think the gameplay feels a lot better than the first game. You could do like this little pogo stick spin kick thing, like DuckTales or something. So that can make some really unique platforming segments, and it's just fun to bounce around enemies and stuff. There's a lot more abilities now, a lot more character classes. Just Rogue Legacy 1, but there's a lot more of everything, and I think the combat is a lot more fluid. Obviously I need to play a lot more of it. I've only done the first boss, so I'm not like an expert yet, but I'll be sure to talk about a lot more in the next podcast, once I probably won't finish it by then, but I'll hopefully be closer. But yeah, a ton of fun right now. And the last thing is another roguelite that I've never heard of till like last week, because I saw like Jerma playing it, and apparently this thing has like 98,000 reviews on Steam, like overwhelmingly positive. Shit. So it's called Vampire Survivors. This is like a very generic looking thing. I'm like, what is this? I saw Jerma playing it. I'm like, all right, whatever. But basically, it's if TFT was a roguelite and you could like move around. That's basically what it is. So you move around, a bunch of enemies come towards you, and your character auto shoots things for you. So like you never have to fight like for yourself. When an enemy dies, you collect XP orbs, and then you could select 3 different items that show up, And these items kind of works like TFT, where you could pick one and then it could sort of combine into another item with another thing, so you can make like an evolution of an item, and that's how you get your big boy items to like clear a run basically. And it's like you gotta survive for 30 minutes, you do that and then you win, and you get like a bunch of gold and you can upgrade and unlock more stuff, and it's really fun. Like it's like it sounds really boring, but TFT also sounds boring until you actually play it, right? Like, you know, you gain these item combinations, maybe you find something that's like something you haven't done before, is like, okay, I'll try that out. Just finding out finding out all the different item combinations, all the secrets, because there's a bunch of secrets to find and characters to unlock. It's just pure dopamine and gives you that TFT rush in like a roguelite setting while like competing with other people, I guess. It's a really good idea for a game, and apparently the creator has been updating the game like crazy. It's still in early access right now, but like the content it has is like pretty substantial. It feels like a full game already. He just like keep adding stuff to it at this point. So yeah, definitely give it a try if you like, you know, sort of like roguelites or like I guess like auto battler type deals, because it's something I didn't think would mesh together well, but it really does. I think this is a great idea for a genre, just auto battling roguelites. So hopefully this like picks up more steam, we get more updates, and maybe see other games like it, because it's a good idea. I've been enjoying it a lot, so that's all I've been doing.
Is the game free or?
No, it's like $3.
What the fuck?
Yeah, the game is like $3, and it has like a crap ton of value. I think I have like 8 hours in it already. I have like not even a quarter of the unlock. So yeah, I think it's a ton of fun. I like it a lot.
Okay, well, that game definitely looked interesting from the Twitch streams I was clicking through, but
yeah.
All right, so now let's talk about Moon Knight and the episode 5 and 6 and the overall season as a whole. So obviously, like when I was going into this, I was like, no way this shit gonna be Daredevil. Like Daredevil on a fucking other level, honestly. So if they were able to pull it off, I was gonna be very, very surprised and sort of applaud them for it. So, oh, by the way, this is gonna be spoilers.
Yeah, it is spoilers. Yeah.
Overall, this season, yeah, it's kind of what I expected. Sort of a vigilante character, but it was doing like the MCU thing where they were going to like multiple different areas, and I thought it would be a lot more grounded than it was supposed to be, but you know, there was just cosmic shit with the Egyptian gods, and like we're in Egypt and now we're in some other world and a whole bunch of other stuff, and by the end of it I was like, okay, like that was fine. I'm not exactly sure if I hate it necessarily, but I'm not exactly a huge fan of this Moon Knight adaptation, because I feel like the character has a lot more potential than what we were shown / given. Obviously, like episode 5, where we learn a lot more of Steven and Mark's backstory, how like Mark created Steven as like a sort of like alternate personality kind of thing. That was kind of cool, and learning their history and their past and everything like that. Like I enjoyed that stuff, but it was like by the end of it, I was like, all right, I guess we beat the bad guy, you know, like.
I actually like really liked the last 2 episodes. Like I thought episode 5 was one of my more favorite like MCU like moments, or at least character moments. I think episode 6 still felt a little too short. Like you know, I think that's just an issue all these shows are gonna have at this point. Like they just feel like they need one more episode, or at least like a longer episode. Like the final episode was like, I felt like 10 minutes shorter than like the other episodes. But I feel like they like this is like the standard origin story for like a character, right? Like it wasn't more about the bad guy, I felt, because the bad guy was whatever, and the evil god, like I didn't really care too much about them too much. It was mostly about like Mark and Steven and like Khonshu at this point, than anything else. Like I felt like that was the strongest part of the shows and what I really liked about it. Like that's why I like the first 2 episodes so much, because they focus a lot on like that aspect of it. Like it was being like, whoa, what's going on, or like, you know, his whole multiple personality thing and stuff. You know, that's why I didn't like the middle 2 episodes too much. Like episode 4 was okay, but I felt like 3 was like a little all over the place. But the last 2 episodes, I think, focus a lot on what I kind of liked about the show, especially episode 5. I think episode 5 was actually like amazing. I really liked episode 5 a lot, because it went so deep into like his character. Well, I guess their characters at this point, and how he deals with trauma and stuff. And I do like that his mental illness isn't like it wasn't like a supernatural thing. Like it was just kind of a thing that, you know, that would develop in a person after situations like that. You know, it wasn't like Khonshu like gave it to him or something. At least that's what, you know, at least I don't think so. Judging from this. But yeah, I thought episode 5 was fantastic, honestly. Like it definitely was like my favorite thing. And like Oscar Isaac, like, yo, give this man like a reward. I think he did a great job as Moon Knight, and just switching the personalities and stuff with Mark and Steven. Like, even, you know, obviously the voice is the big thing to separate them, but like I feel like even like their face structure looks like a little different. Like Mark like has like that more stoic looking face, and Steven has like the more baby face. I don't know how he did that, but like to me they look like I don't know, that was crazy. But yeah, episode 5 was definitely the standout, and I think but my favorite parts in episode 6 was when like they were switching between each other. Like they finally have like this harmony together, and they could learn to live with each other. I don't know. I thought that stuff was like really good, but I kind of agree with you. But the villain was kind of like whatever. Like I didn't really care by the end of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I have to like rewatch the show to like get like a better understanding and sort of more collective thoughts on it. But I don't know. I felt like watching it week to week was kind of like, all right, let's see what Moon Knight's doing. Like, by far, episode 5 was like the best episode, just because we learned so much about Mark and Steven, and finally sort of unravel the mystery box that was those two characters. Because when we first start the show, it's like, holy shit, like what the fuck's going on? Like he fucking blacked out, and then there's blood on him and shit. It's like, oh my god. And then episode 5 sort of uncovers all that and sort of reveals why he's like that, and his abusive mom, and him losing his brother because he wasn't watching after him, and that's not necessarily his fault because he's just a fucking kid, you know. And obviously the mom played favorite to the younger one, so yeah, that would obviously mess him up, and he did some very bad things where he was like a mercenary, and right before he was gonna die, he met Khonshu, and all of that stuff was very, very interesting. And I honestly really loved that. But I don't know. By episode 6, I was like, all right, like how is this all gonna wrap up? And I felt like that it wasn't to what I had personally expected, and I felt like that there could have been a little bit more done there for the characters and maybe for the overall story, because, you know, the whole like chasing the next plot MacGuffin thing, the next whatever, you know, Egyptian thing, whatever the fuck was going on, you know, it just felt a little weak in my opinion. It was just an excuse for them to go to different places and reveal more about their backstory. And, you know, the whole thing with Mark killing what's her name's dad.
The dad, yeah.
Was that even brought up in episode 5? I forget.
It was brought up it was like really quick. Like they like showed like, oh, this is his body, like when you killed him, and that's about it. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. There could have been a much more like powerful reveal there, but
yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with everything you said. Like, I do think the show has issues. Like I think like a lot of that stuff, like you said, with the plot MacGuffins, like I still can't get over how they made such a big deal the first 2 episodes with the Scarab, and then was just like just yeeted it, like it just didn't matter. I'm like, what was the point of all that then? And then like, you know, I go this to that. Like, yeah, I agree that parts were a bit weak, but I don't know. By the end, I think it really depends on how much you actually care about Steven and Mark and all that stuff. Like I feel like that's kind of what it's relying on, and I kind of really enjoy that by the end of it. Even Khonshu, I think Khonshu was just a fun character as well. Yeah, I think it just depends on how much you really enjoy that dynamic of it. But, you know, that still can't be enough to carry the show. Like, if, you know, like if there's all these issues, like compounding it and stuff, you know. But for me, I felt like it was enough for it. I definitely feel like I feel like the problem with Winter Soldier, like Falcon and Winter Soldier and like Hawkeye, like I felt like, you know, these are characters we already kind of know. Like Kate Bishop was cool and stuff. But like, you know, they felt more generic to me. At least this one does feel a bit more unique in a sense. Like I'd definitely say like Loki's probably still my number 1 for me in terms of like these Marvel shows, but this might be like number 2 just because I really like how unique it was and like the different things it tries. Like, is it perfect? Like, no, I definitely think all the points you bring up are totally valid points, and I definitely think this show is probably like a 7, like if you were really gonna judge it. But for me, I ended up liking it a lot more than I thought I would. But yeah, it's just the middle parts could feel a little too like fillery, and like, why does this need to exist? Or like they should just flesh things out more a little bit. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think overall, just like the Marvel shows in general have been like mid, if I can say that. You know, it's a big meme where people are like, yeah, you know, it's mid, and then people think that means bad. But like in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to like the Marvel Cinematic Universe and like them using these shows as a way to introduce these new characters. I feel like because they have 6 episodes to work with, there should be a little bit more to do with here instead of like a 2.5-hour movie, you know? But I feel like, you know, there's not as much that is being done that is being used for this time, you know, sort of thing, like compared to like 6 hours. Obviously I think that Loki is like a great example. You know, I think if we had a Loki movie, I don't think it would have been as strong, just because all of that development he had with Sylvie and shit like that, like that was obviously very much needed. And when we get to that fucking finale where he's like, fucking choose, it's like, okay, yeah, like I think the Loki show overall was like the best sort of example. And I'm glad that we started with WandaVision, because WandaVision was like sort of a great way to show how like, oh, you know, like the sort of like week to week sort of like discussion of like, oh shit, like what the fuck's going on with Wanda and like what the hell's going on with Vision. But then by the end of it, it was like, oh, it's just another MCU thing. I forgot, whoopsies, you know. But with Moon Knight, you know, it started out just like the other MCU shows where like it's kind of exciting. It's kind of cool. You know, we're getting to know this new character in Mark and Steven, and then, you know, it's sort of maybe, you know, does some things in the middle that's not exactly all that great. And then by the end of it, it either sticks the landing or it doesn't necessarily do so.
I think it's just the Marvel-ness now. I mean, like, honestly, I still like Marvel a lot, and always entertaining, but kind of just gotta take it how it is. Especially with like, this basically is like the standard origin story movie, but just as like a TV show. Like you have the evil, not Moon Knight, doing his evil stuff, and then you have some relationship drama, and then you have like the character turmoil stuff, and then all you know he resolves that stuff, then he fights the big bad, and then there you go. That's about it. I really that's the case for like most of the origin stuff, like, you know, Thor 1, Doctor Strange 1, you know, actually the Guardians 1 was pretty sick, but like most of the first movies, or I guess in this case show, is probably going to be a bit more on the later, you know, on the not as great side, which is fine, I guess. But like you said, I think as a show, it probably should have done more, because it's like you have like more time to develop these things, and I feel like it kind of just felt like a movie anyway. Like I felt like they didn't really take advantage of it as much as they could have. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna cut it a little bit of slack just because it's a new hero, and it's like basically just the origin movie, just in the episode thing, like in the show format. And I think they did a good job with his character, and I do want to see more of him in like movies, or like I guess a second season. I don't really know if they confirmed that at all. I don't think they have.
I don't think they've said anything about a second season yet.
Yeah, so he might just be in like the next Avengers movie at this point, which is fine. Like I think. Like, honestly, that's how I kind of felt about Doctor Strange, where at first I was just like, okay, he's kind of cool. Like, I don't mind seeing more of him. And now he's like, you know, one of my favorites, because I think they really develop him further in like Avengers movies and stuff. Same thing with Thor, right? Like, I thought Thor was like not great until later. So I really like Moon Knight. I just wanted him to be in probably like a better thing that elevates him further. So that's just a wait and see at this point. But yeah, I think we could say a lot of the Marvel shows have been, you know, they've been entertaining. I had a good time with them, but I think mid is a good word for them, because it's just like, yeah, they're good. Like Loki, I thought was actually really good. WandaVision was pretty good for, you know, for a while. You know, it got generic towards the end, like you said.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, it was pretty unique, and I like Moon Knight for what it was doing. But you know, things like Hawkeye and Winter Soldier are definitely like, okay, like I've seen this before. So, but yeah.
And ironically, those are two of my favorites. You know, I mean, it could just be because I'm a Haley Steinfeld simp, I'm going to be honest.
I didn't hate them. I just thought, like, Hawkeye definitely felt like they needed, like, 2 more episodes.
Oh, yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, like, there were, like, deleted scenes with, like, Kingpin and shit like that. I'm like, damn, like, what the fuck? He was going to be revealed so much sooner. I think that would have been a lot more interesting and would have had a lot more eyes on the show. But, you know, everyone knew Kingpin was going to be in there. But, yeah, you know, whatever they do with these Marvel shows, that's why I'm kind of scared for Miss Marvel, because like they're already changing her powers and sort of changing how her story's working. So I wonder if it's all gonna work out in the end. So I hope it does, obviously, because fuck, I'm seeing Doctor Strange later tonight. Like I'm 100% invested in this whole MCU circus parade at this point, you know. So hopefully Miss Marvel is able to stick the landing, but I'm obviously like holding my breath on that, just because most of the shows have not done that successfully. But we're just gonna have to wait and see. Overall, I think Moon Knight, it's definitely one of the better ones. I like it more than WandaVision, I will say that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's probably like number 2 for me, just because of like I like a lot of the things you know, in it. But yeah, I could see it has a lot of flaws. Like low-key, I really can't point out as many, and that's why I think it's still my favorite one. But yeah, I think Moon Knight has a lot of like redeeming factors of it, even if you don't like the sort of meddling to do a lot of the time. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it quite a bit. So yeah, I was happy with it.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into the first bit of gaming news. So PlayStation is requiring game trials for certain games. So if your game at wholesale is $34 or higher, you will be required to have a trial for PlayStation Plus Premium members. So this is not retroactive. It's not going to be required for upcoming PSVR games or the games that are currently on the store. And this is a quote from the article. Developers have up until 3 months after the game's launch on the PlayStation Store to release their timed trial. Trials are also only required to be available for PlayStation Plus Premium members for at least 12 months. Sony is also open to releasing custom game demos instead of time-limited game trials, but these are only approved by a case-by-case basis. Developers are also still free to publish free weekends, game trials, or custom demos that can be accessed by all PlayStation owners. So, yeah, it seems like a kind of weird like requirement. I don't know why it's not just like you could play like the first hour of a game or something like that. I don't know why it's not sort of like that, but now they are like required to do like these custom game trials. I guess maybe because certain games you might be able to like break and like finish within an hour, but like at the same time, like we're in 2022, I don't think that can happen kind of thing, you know? That's just my own personal theory, but I think doing these like custom game trials like is obviously good for us because like if you have PlayStation Plus Premium, which is the most expensive tier that they're going to offer, you're going to be able to try these games out before you can play them, which is pretty dope. I mean, like, you know, us growing up, like we first started off with like game disc demos, and then it turned into the Xbox Live Arcade sort of demos, and then those sort of phased out, I guess, in our eyes, and we weren't really touching those, maybe because we turned to PC gaming and shit like that. But I don't know, these like custom game trials are going to be kind of cool and very interesting, especially to people that only game on PlayStation, because now you're able to test a game out before it comes out, especially because at wholesale they're $34 or more, and you know games like that are probably going to be $60, $70 in a retail price. So
yeah, I mean, I think this is great, obviously, like there's no denying that, but I still think Steam has the best policy with this stuff where you buy the game, if you play it for under 2 hours and it's been 14 days or less, you could just refund it, no questions asked. Like it's just like a straight up bot just does it for you. And yeah, it's just the easiest way. You don't need no custom, you don't need like a specially designed demo. You don't need like anything. You just buy the game, you play like the first bit of it. You can see if the game works on your PC. You can see if the game's just fun or not for the first 2 hours. And as long as it hasn't been 14 days yet, you can just refund it and you're good. So I still think Steam has the best way to do it just because of how easy it is. Like I've done it multiple times. So like it's been really nice, the Steam way to do it. But you know, I think them making the own trials, I feel like that could maybe lead to some deception, right? Like maybe this is like, oh, this is like the best part of it or something. Like probably not. But it's probably still just going to be the beginning of the game anyway. But yeah, I think this is still good regardless. Like, you know, some people may like, maybe you watch a bunch of reviews and they say the game is really good, but then you play it and like, oh, maybe this is not for me. And then you just like, turn it away. So like, yeah, it's always better to like test the game yourself and see if you enjoy it or not. I mean, for me personally, I always just use reviews anyway, and I'm usually fine with just buying like, because I guess I have a broad taste in like gaming, so I don't really, I don't really mind as much. But I know some people are really specific of what they like, so if it doesn't feel right to them, then yeah, you should be able to just refund it because you know, well, why not? And like I said, we had demo discs before, and we had rentals. Like I used to rent a bunch of games in Blockbuster to see if I liked it. Like I meant to like Shadow the Hedgehog like way too many times because I'm like I like this game. I don't want to buy it. So
I love Shadow.
I love Shadow, but yeah, that's I mean, yeah. Regardless, it's a great thing to have. But I still think Steam has the best like version of this.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just because you know you're just able to refund it. But then again, I remember a time when someone on Twitter was like, I beat Sonic Forces and I didn't like it, so I just refunded it on Steam. And I was like, okay, okay,
that's
come back,
sussy.
whatever. Yeah, exactly. Kind of sus. But I think the game trials being at least 2 hours long is a bit long in my opinion. I feel like if you're gonna try a game out, you give it an hour, and then and then by that hour, you should be able to tell like, did you even notice that the hour passed? And then if you didn't, well, shit, fucking buy the game then, because like that's probably gonna be a good game that you're gonna enjoy for hours and hours on end without even realizing it. But maybe 2 hours is like the sweet spot that they found, was like, okay, maybe like you're able to get past all of like the tutorials and shit like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that this is a little weird, definitely, because like you said, the sort of Valve Steam way of doing it seems to be the best way, just because you're able to just buy the game, and then if you like it, you just keep playing it. But now it's sort of like this weird, like designated different sort of like game trial demo that doesn't even have the full game in it, kind of thing, So you're downloading a whole separate thing, and then after that, if you want to play the game, you're gonna have to download that, if you even want to download it to begin with, kind of thing. So, but either way, even when you buy games physically, like I had to fucking download Lego Star Wars on my PS5 because I'm like, all right, yeah, I know how it works these days. The dish just allows me to play the game pretty much.
That's why I just don't bother with physical PS5 stuff, because I'm like, what's the point? I buy the game. The whole point, I should be able to play the game with the disc. But at this point, it's just like it's more annoying because you got to put the freaking disc in, even if it's downloaded. I'm like, that's dumb. So yeah, whatever.
Oh my god, the last time I bought a game and I was able to play it off the rip was Yoshi's Yarn, whatever the fuck. It was on Switch or whatever.
Willy World?
No, that was the Wii U. Fuck, what was it? God damn it, this is gonna bother me. Fucking shit. God damn it. Yoshi's Crafted World.
Oh,
that was literally the last game where I put it in my Switch and then I hit play, then it instantly started off. I was like, there's no day one updates, there's nothing? All right, cool. Kind of crazy, but it is what it is. So we'll see how these play out, especially because the devs probably have to like take a certain part of the game that they want to show the players and then just make that the 2 hour long demo or whatever. So
all right, so we got some Sega stuff. Well, not really. I saw. I forgot the other thing below this. But anyway, so Sega is delisting a bunch of Sonic Genesis games, as you could probably guess. The Sonic Origins collection is coming out, and this happens a lot where companies are just like, oh, let's just remove the older stuff because we want them to buy the new thing. So they just delist like all the other Sonic games that would be like on the collection. I think Square Enix did this with Final Fantasy VIII. There was like the shitty PC version, but it was still cheaper than the remaster, and some people didn't like the remaster anyway, and just took it away. So this is a very common tactic like companies do, and it sucks because if you didn't like, maybe you don't like the changes they did in Sonic Origins, or maybe you just don't want to pay that much for all of the games. You just want to play Sonic 3 or Sonic CD. You just can't do that anymore. Like I think I have them all on Steam, so it doesn't really affect me because I have them. But if you just wanted to buy a specific one while buying the whole collection, then yeah, that kind of out of luck at that point.
Yeah, you're gonna have to shell out $40 for all of the games, and you might just want to play one of them. So yeah, that definitely sucks. I think that Sega doing this by sending it through a PR email was kind of snaky of them. Kind of sus, them trying to avoid more backlash, especially since after the initial backlash with the whole like fucking chart and the whole chart, digital deluxe edition, that really $5 for like all of these like animations and music. It's like just include it in the main game, guys. Like it's not that serious. And then if you pre-order it, you get some like little extra bonuses, but nothing too crazy, but yeah, them delisting it, like you said, it is a common practice. I think that the GTA remastered stuff that got delisted.
Oh, yeah. That was the
so thing. Yeah, that was like a whole thing. I'm not too familiar with the story, but I believe like the remaster wasn't that good, and people were like,
ass.
people were like, good. Give us the originals, and they were like, no. So
like that's the big issue. Like I doubt the Sonic Origin collection is gonna be bad at all. It's just like all these weird business decisions. It looks great. But the GTA remasters, it kind of looked like shit to begin with, and then they start pulling away the good, like the versions you can mod and fix, and they release these shitty versions out. So that's kind of why people are afraid when things like this happen, because you just can't play that version works. You got to deal with this new version now. So
yeah, especially because now you have to buy the whole collection. So this is limiting choice for the consumer, where it's like, okay, I want to play just Sonic 1. Okay, I gotta pay $40 for it. Well, shit, I guess I'll just emulate it on something else, because it's fucking Sonic 1. It's from 1991, guys. Like it's not that serious kind of thing,
right.
And yeah, I don't know, it just feels like that this sort of practice and this sort of ordeal with them releasing a remaster or like a new collection kind of thing, and then taking away the old ones should stop. I think that giving the consumer more choice in what they want to buy, even if they like mistakenly bought like, oh, I wanted Sonic Origins, but I bought like just one of the games, then, maybe they could like retroactively like refund it with whatever store that they bought it from digitally, whatever the case is. But I don't know. It just feels like when you limit the consumer's choice of what they want and what they can sort of pick and choose from, it just makes the market so limiting in a sense,
Yeah, it's kind of why people are like really back into the pirate bandwagon, because it's just like, obviously I don't like it depends on the situation. Like I think in things like this, like, yeah, you probably have a right to like do it because like it's gone now. It's kind of like the same thing with like emulation, which isn't pirating, but you know what I'm saying. Like if there's no legal means for me to buy a thing, then yeah, obviously I'm gonna try to like pirate it or like get an emulator, because it's like it's not my fault. Usually I like to buy the thing because I want to give you my money, but yeah, at some point it's just like, yeah, I'm just gonna pirate it or emulate it because what the hell you want me to do? So
yeah. I mean, like, it's the same thing with, like, most media. It's, like, with certain anime that's, like, on Crunchyroll. It's, like, oh, it's not, like, the version that I want to watch. Like Tokyo Ghoul, I think, like, it's, like, heavily censored or some shit, I could be spitting out of my ass right now. But that's just, like, a situation where it's, like, you want one version of the thing, and then it's a whole completely different version. Like, Star Wars fans are still fucking fighting for their lives to, like, the theatrical releases of the original trilogy, like, on Blu-ray and 4K and shit like that, and that's just never gonna happen. So like people, like the fans like created like their own ones, and you could like watch it online on like various links and shit like that. So yeah, I mean, like, this situation, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary for the gaming industry, but it's definitely a practice that should stop, because we've seen it happen with fucking GTA, and now it's happening with Sonic and a bunch of other collections that I'm sure have happened previously. But I think when you remaster old games, I feel like that if it's already available on that store, you should just offer it regardless, like the new one and the old one. Because like when I think about like for example, like the Sly collection, when that came out on the PlayStation 3, you could buy the games individually, like digitally, but those are like the remastered versions. But that's because it was from the PS2 to the PS3. Yeah. So, and like those games weren't on the PlayStation Store before as like the original PS2 ones, so it makes sense that they would just put the PS3 version up on there. But that's just one example that I feel like that's fine, because like there was no other version on the store before. If the PS2 versions were on the store before, then they took them down. Okay, like now we're talking about a whole different story. But if it's already there before, just fucking leave it.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like just leave it. Like there's no reason to take it down besides limiting choice for like consumers, and that's always bad. So.
All right, so next bit of news we got is Bloomberg is reporting that Amazon is making changes to Twitch for more profit. So pretty much nothing's finalized, but they can be coming as soon as this summer. So top creators, those that get the 70-30 cut in favor of them, it's going to be cut down to 50. I mean, most Twitch streamers get 50-50 anyways, and then there's going to be incentives to run more ads for streamers. So if you see more ads popping up on your Twitch streams, that's why, because the streamers are probably going to get more bank from that. They're also going to create multiple tiers instead of criteria how to qualify for each one. Twitch may offer to release partner platforms from exclusivity restrictions, allowing them to stream on Google's YouTube or Facebook. So this pretty much allows people that are tied exclusively to Twitch, they can stream on different platforms at the same time, so like restreaming and things like that. So yeah, that can be kind of interesting. That will be allowing the streamer to grow their brand on different platforms to different audiences. So I think that's cool. I definitely do restreaming. When I did stream, I would stream on YouTube and Twitch. I would still get jack shit viewers, but it is what it is, Yeah. But to those bigger streamers that, people that want to cater to as many of their fans as possible, you can watch me on YouTube, but you can also watch me on Twitch sort of thing. I think that could be cool. But everything else, with the whole cutting down the profits for the streamers, incentivizing more ads, it just seems like Amazon's just trying to get more fucking money when, like, they don't need it.
Yeah, it's... I mean, I think the biggest thing with this is like the more ads thing. Like, I feel like that's gonna suck for us.
Mm-hmm. I mean, 100%.
Yeah, because I actually like don't like every time I click on a Twitch stream, it's just like, oh, here's Billie Eilish telling me about like freaking like Photoshop.
Yeah, Photoshop.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, I've seen this like 40 times. Leave me alone. Obviously, no one really likes ads, and if streamers are more incentivized to do it, like I feel like it's just gonna be annoying. And I think the pay cut from like the bigger streamers is like, I mean, they're fine, right? I mean,
Oh
it
yeah,
still sucks for
100%.
them.
Yeah,
Like,
it sucks for them, but like they're probably gonna be okay.
yeah, they're probably fine though. But it does suck for people that maybe get into that top percent now and just like, oh, it's like the same. But I guess it's fine because it probably should just be the same. They probably shouldn't favor like the top people. Like obviously they do because it gives them like Twitch views and they make more money that way. But maybe it was always unfair to just be like, oh, why do the top eat the rich? Because they're making like 70-30 and we're making 50-50. What the hell? So maybe it's better. It's like that for everyone, maybe, I guess. I feel like it's kind of weird to say, but yeah, the restreaming thing is cool though. Like I feel like having more people like being able to restream is like fine. Like I feel like it's always kind of like a petty thing Twitch did, was like, oh, you can't do that. Like you can't like restream otherwhere. Like, well, why not? Like, let people like expand their brand and just let them be on YouTube and Twitch. Like it doesn't really like, it matters for them because they make more money. But if we're gonna take the pay cut from the top streamers anyway, they're probably just gonna like, okay, I'll just restream on YouTube and I guess recoup the cost there or something, or run another ad. So I think overall it's like probably fine. It's just like the ad thing is gonna be the most annoying part, right? And on paper it sounds like way worse than it actually is, I think, because when I saw that the pay thing, I'm like, oh wait, no, that's only for the top people. It wasn't like for like everyone. So yeah,
if everyone was making 70-30, shit,
yeah, that would have been crazy, right?
That would have been cool. But I think more ads is just so stupid. I mean, like already, like when I use my Twitch Prime, I use it on Tarek because I watch Tarek a lot and I don't want the fucking ad. So like when I click on his stream, it's just instant. I'm gonna watch an ad or nothing. And I believe you can buy like that Twitch Turbo or whatever the fuck it is called these days, where like you get no ads, but like the streamer still gets the money for said ads when they do play them. But I'm not doing that. I think that subbing is a lot cooler just because you're supporting that streamer directly and you're also getting cool emotes and sort of ads on the e-stream and things like that. I don't know. I just feel like that is a cooler thing than just buying this thing that directly goes to Twitch and like, the streamer still gets money for said ads, but I don't know. I just think that subbing's a lot cooler. But if it's more ads, I hope it's not fucking video player ads and then like the fucking streams like in that corner with like the fucking chat. I'm like, I hate those. I hate when that happens. I don't mind like the ads like at the bottom or like on the side, because at least I can still watch the stream. The ads only work if I fucking fall into it, which I never do. But some people do. Some people, oh shit, it's fucking Chieful. Oh shit, it's DoorDash. I am hungry. Kind of thing. So ads do work. They may not work on me yet right now on Twitch, but I think that ads that are less intrusive on the viewer experience, I think that's what Pokey pointed out on her like second Twitter account or whatever. She was like, yeah, I think that should be a thing where like Twitch streamers, the ads on Twitch should just be these sort of sidebars and things like that, and not interfering with the viewer's watching experience. Because like there have been many times where I've watched Sub Rosa and like according to like his Twitch contract, they just randomly like play ads. And like it's like fucking like overtime, and then it's like like a crucial moment within the game, and it's like, oh, here's an ad, and I'm like, all right, whatever. If something cool happens, I guess I'm missing it. Whatever.
Yeah, that's really lame. Like I feel like ads should only go on if the streamer wants it to go on, because then they could have an ad break. Like I feel like that should just be how it is. Hey, when you're like, here's an ad, it's like, what? I didn't agree to that, and then you miss something cool because obviously it's like live, so you can't like pause it. I mean, you can, but like go for the VOD and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel
which that is crazy that Twitch doesn't have that yet, but YouTube does, where you can like rewind and shit like that.
Yeah, like that's like one of my favorite things about YouTube, because I'm a VOD boy. Like I like to watch things live. I like to pause. If I want to do stuff. And on YouTube, it just instantly keeps going, and then you can just like fast forward or whatever. Twitch just feels so ancient with its VOD system, where you have to like wait for it to like upload its VOD, like, and then it's like not completed yet, and then you have to like it's like a pain in the ass. Like I really hate it as someone that watches a lot of Twitch VODs, because that's just how I like watch Twitch streams, because I don't really catch them live a lot of the time. It's just a pain in the ass. So like hopefully Twitch actually invests in that stuff, because it's been like that forever. So but whatever. They want more ads, so it's fine.
It's fucking Amazon. They'll be okay.
Yeah. Alrighty, so this is what I was saying before with the Sega stuff, because Yuji Naka. So Yuji Naka, he reveals that 6 months before Battle in Wonderworld came out, he was removed as director and therefore filed a lawsuit against Square, which is now over. So like everything that happened, right, kind of happened, right. So his thing was he already knew the game was unfinished, Battle in Wonderworld, and he criticized Square Enix and Athras. I don't know who that.
Azres, I guess they're associated with the project in some way. But okay. Continue.
For going forward with the release, he did like a tweet longer, like he just like started rage tweeting about all the things that happened. Basically, yes, the game just wasn't finished, and Square Enix just wanted to push it out the door. And I mean, this is a kind of a complicated story thing to talk about because Yuji Naka has been known to be very difficult to work with. And Square Enix is also like pretty annoying to work with too. So it's kind of like both sides are kind of like really difficult. Obviously Square hasn't really like said anything about this. I don't think they really cared, to be honest. But Yuji Naka is really pissed, rightfully so, because even if the game has a lot of fundamental issues, and I feel like 6 months wasn't enough time to really make this game good. Like it was just too many underlying issues for the game to like end up being anything but garbage, essentially. But I feel like it was very unfair to Yuji Naka to just like release the game anyway for like no real reason, just to be like, okay, we gotta get this thing out the door now. Mostly when you could see like he kind of did care for the game quite a bit. So yeah, that's always really unfortunate when publishers like just rush to creative vision just to like make money. And Square is really bad with that in general, as we'll talk about later. Square just feels like they have no loyalty to just like sell things and just like want things out the door. And that's kind of why Square has been publishing a lot of the shittiest games that come out recently, like The Quiet Man and stuff, like, or Mind Jack and stuff, like all this shit that like no one's heard of because it's so bad. And Battle in Wonderworld like fits right in there, and the game's really not good. So it sucks that Yuji Naka wasn't able to like make the game out of his full vision because of like how Square has been like really just pushing him to do it. But yeah, it's just kind of an unfortunate situation. But again, we don't really know the full story because Yuji Naka, again, it's also been notoriously hard to work with, like in other like Sonic projects. So yeah, but I think he's not really fabricating anything, but I definitely think it might be a little more to this, but we just don't know yet. Also, it's very uncharacteristic for any Japanese person to really like go off like this. Like I feel like a lot of the time, like a lot of Japanese people are very like, sensitive of work culture stuff and like don't really want to speak out too much. And then I've never seen this where he just write a whole wall of like complaints, which is kind of cool to see. I think more people in Japan should be like this. Like they should like be a little more aggressive about like, hey, like what the hell was this? Like Kojima's pretty notorious for that with Konami and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of like that. But yeah, kind of whole situation there.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. I mean, like you said, I don't think 6 months was enough to turn this game around to a masterpiece, if you will. But it wasn't Yuji Naka's sort of full vision because he was removed as director because for whatever reason. But obviously he dealt it in court with Square Enix, and he may or may not have won the case. Who the fuck knows? Obviously there's two sides to this story, and the truth is somewhere in there. But I'm very much obviously here to believe Yuji Naka just because like he's the first to come out with this sort of story to be like, hey guys, if you're wondering why the game was so bad, I got kicked. So that's why if things don't seem as polished as they should have been, well, I wasn't there 6 months before it fucking came out. So, he couldn't really do much to the game after he was removed, obviously. And by the way, Arzus co-developed the game with Square Enix, so
okay.
So that's why he mentioned them in the sort of tweet. But yeah, this whole thread of things is kind of crazy. I mean, like in one of the tweets, he mentioned how in the original Sonic you wouldn't die if you had one ring, and that was implemented like 2 weeks before it was mastered or whatever, which is kind of crazy and a very like iconic thing that is with Sonic the Hedgehog to this fucking day. If you have one ring, you're not gonna die. So yeah, maybe he could have come up with another sort of game design thing that would have changed the game up to make it, sort of good. But obviously, like it's sort of like hearsay, she say. Maybe if this went different, maybe if that went different. But Yeah, I mean, I honestly, when I saw this story to be like, yo, he like fucking lost, he legit sued them. I was like, what the hell? Like, but I mean, he was taken out of the project that he wanted to do, and probably unlawfully so. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy though. So I'm pretty sure whatever Yuji Naka is gonna do next, the game company is gonna be very, very careful to not take him out.
Yeah, I feel like I don't even know if he wants to even work with video games anymore, because I feel like he hasn't really done anything for a while until Balance Wonderworld, and then he released the game, and then he basically got treated like shit, and then he's like, okay, I wouldn't surprise me if he just retires at this point. He might try to do something else. I don't know if he'll try to go back to Sega, whatever, but yeah, it's definitely like hasn't been great for him, which is unfortunate. I think Balance Wonderworld could have cool potential. Like when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, this could be cool. But then, of course, had so many issues and stuff. So hopefully he maybe finds some other developer or publisher to like make his dream game or something. But yeah, as of right now, Balance Wonderworld is going to go down as one of the worst 3D platformers in a while. So, which is very unfortunate, but it's kind of the legacy of it right now.
Hey, look, man, I haven't played it yet, but I'm honestly tempted to play it to see how bad it is.
You probably should. I heard it's just like not good. So.
All right, so moving on from there, we got Sony is currently blocking the ability to extend your PlayStation Plus subscription. So even if your subscription is going to end tomorrow, you cannot extend it until it actually ends. So, the reason that they're doing this is to sort of prevent people from stacking their fucking subscription with like prepaid cards, which some people have already did. Some geniuses have already done that. So they are just not allowing people to do that with prepaid cards, and they are waiting for you to redo it once the new tiers come out within whichever territory that you're in. So that's June 13th for the Americas and June 22nd for Europe. So Sony said, as we prepare to launch the new PlayStation Plus membership service, we are doing some work behind the scenes to make the transition as smooth as possible for all of our existing members. AKA, stop bleeding fucking money out of us, please. We are not. Yep. We're not giving you PlayStation Plus premium if you got until 2030 or whatever fucking long that you stacked your subscription for. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is, in my opinion. I mean, if there's no way to sort of stack it right now, like, you'll be all right. I mean, like, obviously, like, I'm talking from a person that isn't doing this thing, and I haven't subscribed to PlayStation Plus since ever. Honestly, I've never held a PlayStation Plus subscription for more than 3 months. Just because I don't play online games on my console like that ever since the Xbox Live days, and even then, fucking paying $60 a year for Xbox Live was kind of stupid, and all, and in the grand scheme of things, that was also stupid back then. But just a sort of like, I guess, like anti-consumer thing. But I can understand from a business perspective as to why they're doing it. But them saying that we're working on some stuff behind the scenes with someone from PR to be like, yeah, just say that.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious they just don't want to bleed money, like you said, because I think they're charging more for all this, aren't they? Like,
so I don't know what's gonna happen for like the current PS Plus members. Like, are they just gonna get the essentials and then they're not gonna get the premium stuff? Or
I would assume we get like maybe the middle tier, or I would probably get the middle tier. I have no idea, and then you would have to upgrade to premium, and then maybe you could downgrade yourself to the lower one. I'm not too sure how it's gonna work at all, because it's like.
Yeah, they haven't said shit.
Yeah, they did the whole blog post, but they really haven't explained like anything. Like, they haven't explained how the transition to this new system is going to work. Again, we still don't know any of the games really. So yeah, right now it looks like it's coming in really hot, and like it probably will kind of be of a shit show. And yeah, it's pretty clear they're just doing this to not leak money. Like, they're just. Like, okay, like, no one could stack it. Because I've done
Stop stacking.
Yeah, I would buy them on sale, because usually every year they would have a sale. I'm like, okay, I'll buy another year, because it's like, why not? It's on sale. And I would just keep stacking it. I think I have like 2 years stack or something. So I don't know what's going to happen, like, to like my membership, like if it's going to go lower or what. So yeah, it's kind of just like, it's just in the air right now. We don't really know what's going on, because, Sony hasn't really been communicating about this really well. So yeah, we really are just gonna wait and see, and like see what they say during the summer, because we're gonna have to know soon, because we just don't know anything right now. Alrighty, So we got a lot of Square stuff. Again, there's been a lot of Square stuff lately. So yeah, this was kind of a big thing. So Square sells IPs, basically almost all their Western stuff, to the Embracer Group for $300 million, which really isn't a lot. The Embracer have already got Gearbox and THQ Nordic, so that's probably where you heard about them from. They kind of just been gobbling up a lot of like, not smaller, but like I guess AA type stuff. So they acquired Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, and Square Enix Montreal, along with all its employees. They now have Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legend of Kain, and more. And, they have more shit, but we just... Oh, they have Gex. They have Gex now, I think. So there you go. So, but Square has held onto 3 Western IPs. So they have Life is Strange still, because that does pretty well. Just Cause, because I guess Just Cause does well, and Outriders for some reason. So they have those 3 still, but everything else they gave up to Embracer. And the whole reason for this is they sold all these Western studios because the president of Square Enix is like, oh, we want to focus more on blockchain and NFT gaming and stuff. And then as soon as they said that, the market thing for NFTs and blockchain guys went down super hard. So that was funny. So yeah, obviously Square is stupid. You know, they said this actually a few months ago where the president was like, we want to focus on blockchains and NFTs and stuff. And I'm like, okay, dude. And then doing this, like, I'm like, oh man, that's not good. There's also some rumors that they're doing this to make themselves more appealing to be bought out by someone else. Like if it's either Sony or someone else, like we don't know, but that's just a rumor. Like it's not really anything concrete, but, yeah, I mean, I look at this in 2 ways. Like their Western division of games have always been a little bit of a not as great as, you know, I think a lot of the Square like Japanese IPs have always been pretty good, like at least with Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and what have you, Dragon Quest. And you know, I really like the new Guardians of the Galaxy game. I think they did a great job with that. But you know, the new Tomb Raiders, I know the first one was really good, and then they kind of just like, okay, they're good. Obviously, Avengers came out, and that wasn't very good at all. So it seems to be a thing that was bleeding money. I know the DSX games were really good, but I don't think they did too well commercially. So yeah, it seems to just be a big money drain for Square, and just didn't feel like keeping them. And so they just sold them. And maybe they sold the IPs too, just because they didn't know what to do with them. But yeah, it just seemed like $300 million is like very cheap for these IPs. Like I feel like Deus Ex and Tomb Raider probably deserved a little more than just $300 million. Like I feel like at least like half, like $1 billion, like $500 million. Like geez, that seems really cheap. But yeah, Embracer just has more games, and maybe they get treated better because Square wasn't really treating them too well to begin with. But yeah, it's quite a steal for Embracer Group to buy all these IPs for just $300 million, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, after everything that happened with the Marvel games, you know, Crystal Dynamics is like, ah, shit, we fucked up, guys.
Yeah. So, and if you were into the Avengers game, just, you know, you're probably huffing copium. Like, oh, they're still updated. they're still updated. Yeah, that shit's dead now. I mean, it was already dead, so.
We got Spider-Man copium. It's okay, guys.
They're releasing Jane Foster, which is just another reskin of a hero we have. Same thing with Hawkeye and Kate Bishop. It's the same hero. I'm like, good job, guys. But,
anyways, yeah, I mean, like, Crystal Dynamics with the Tomb Raider games, honestly, like, those were bangers. I honestly really like those games.
Yeah.
I played the first one on PC like years and years ago, and I loved it. I haven't played the sequel since, but I'm sure it's just more of the same, you know, the same like Uncharted like sort of gameplay, you know, despite Tomb Raider being the first sort of, you know, action adventure Indiana Jones style game. But, you know, Tomb Raider sort of took elements from Uncharted and made it their own. And I definitely have to play those sequels soon because I have all of them. I just haven't played them. But yeah, it is kind of crazy that Square Enix just decided to sell these studios and IPs. The reason I think that they sold the IPs with the studios is because that's what the fucking studios worked on. So like, if they just gave them the studios, it's like, all right, guys, what do you know how to do? We know how to do Tomb Raider. We don't have Tomb Raider. Hi, fuck. So, you know, selling the IPs with them, along with, you know, whichever ones, if Gex is true, I mean, you know, Just give me that Gex trilogy shit, you know. Just
Crystal Dynamics make Gex, so yeah, they still have Gex with them. So like, if they could, I think there was rumors that a new Gex is supposed to happen, which is really funny.
Not like this. I
don't think the world's ready for another Gex game, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool that Life is Strange is still part of Square because I thought True Colors was really good. You know, Life is Strange 2, you know, we both whatever. We don't need to go into that again. But True Colors I thought was really good, so if they could keep up with that, that's great. And the other two I don't really care about. Like Just Cause, I didn't even know was still going on, and Outriders is like whatever. Like, I don't care either. But
I'm sure Square Enix looked at their best Western selling IPs and they were like, all right, these are the top 3. We're keeping those. Have the rest. Sort of thing.
Everything else is gone. Go away. So I mean, I just want Square to release like their stuff. Like, you know, like. I know they have like Kingdom Hearts 4, Final Fantasy 16, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake Part 2. Like those are like the big boy games they have releasing. So if they had to release them in a timely manner, I think Square would be fine. But Square just being really stupid lately, so I don't know. We'll see later.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, Embracer, I hope that they are able to use these IPs and these people efficiently, and maybe we'll see something within the next few years of what that has to come. But fuck it, you know, by next episode, they could have just released everything, you know, just said, fuck, you guys are all fired. We're just going to start from scratch or some shit, you know, like, which I doubt because, like, I don't think that they did that with any of the other studios that they swallowed up. So, but yeah, I'm excited to see what's next to come, especially for, you know, I'm sure those Deus Ex fans are fucking starving for content, 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So.
I know my brother is a big Deus Ex fan. He was like, please, I just want one. I want another one.
Please. All right. So next bit of news we got is Sykkuno moves to YouTube. So it was rumored right before this was officially announced because on his last Twitch stream he was very emotional, and you know, he was like, it's been fun guys, and I was like, oh shit. Just to like full disclaimer, I don't watch Sykkuno. I obviously know who he is because he's very much friends with Offline TV, which I don't even follow those guys anymore because I've discussed before with the whole every single fucking drama that they get into, and it seems like a lot of them have like egos and shit like that, and it is what it is. But you know, I still follow them on Twitter just to like see what the fuck they're doing, because they're obviously like a big group of people within the space of Twitch and streaming in general. So but Sykkuno moving to YouTube, I believe on his stream he cited that when Twitch wanted to like re-sign him, they misspelled his name to Sykkuno with SCU instead of SY. So he was like, nope, fuck that. So I'm sure that he had options. I'm sure that there was a lot of people, a lot of organizations coming to him and like, hey, stream on Facebook, stream on whatever fucking new platform we got. But YouTube was probably like, all right, like, here's a bag, just stream on YouTube. You know, Valkyrie's there, Tim's there, Courage is there, people that he's probably familiar with within the space. So yeah, honestly, like Sykkuno's boom on streaming and shit like that is kind of crazy. I feel like 3 years ago, no one really knew who he was, but just because of like his personality and, I mean, like he fucking looks like an anime character, so that could be it too. You know, I know that one time he went into a Discord call with fans, and they were all girls, and I was like, what the fuck, this guy's Mr. Bitches, this is crazy. But anyways, you know, I'm glad Sykkuno, you know, he's able to collect the bag while his streaming sort of his stocks in the streaming game is like pretty high, you know, sort of thing. And I feel like YouTube, you know, them getting another big streamer from Twitch to join their platform is just going to create YouTube gaming be a much stronger space as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, to get more exclusive stuff, like that's just going to, you know, boost their numbers and stuff. I mean, I know the YouTube streaming has gone a bit better since, you know, its inception, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And if they get more big streamers, and, you know, that's always good for them. And, you know, them throwing money at, like, streamers that want to quit, you know, that's good. I know that, yeah, the Ludwig is there now, right?
Yeah. Ludwig's also there.
Not
forgot about
him.
How the fuck? The fuck did I forget Ludwig?
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, yeah, Ludwig was a kind of a big get for them. So, yeah, like I think with these stable of streamers, like they're definitely like, yeah, come to YouTube, come watch these people, because, you know, I don't think people are more loyal to the streamer than they are the platform, I would think. Well, it depends. Like, if it's on Facebook, then probably not. But like if it's on YouTube, I think a lot of people wouldn't mind just going on YouTube to watch their favorite streamer, because it's kind of what you're watching, right? Like, I don't watch many streamers, but like if Jerma wants to like say like YouTube, I probably would just like watch him on YouTube because I don't really care that much. So yeah, it's definitely a personality driven thing. So if you like that person, you're probably just gonna follow them anyway, and that benefits the whatever platform they're on. So I think that's why having these exclusive deals with people is always going to be king in this sort of thing. I mean, it didn't really help Mixer, but I think Microsoft pulled the plug too early on that one. So yeah,
Ninja and Shroud got the bag. So
yeah, they're the ones that shouldn't be complaining. It's really just like Microsoft being like, okay, we're not doing this anymore. But that was the thing we talked about, right? So.
And I feel like signing with YouTube is a lot more stable just because YouTube has shown that, hey, look, we got Valkyrie, we got Courage, and those two people have been on the platform for over a year now. I feel like it's been maybe 1 or 2 years for them on the platform. And, now we got Ludwig, we got Tim. So it seems like, the space for YouTube gaming is just growing more and people are coming up on YouTube, obviously, as streamers. Not to mention that one kid that said some really hateful shit on fucking Valorant,
Oh.
We never talked about that, but I don't even know how that kid in particular blew up, but that's neither here nor there. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah,
if you know, you know.
Sykkuno, props to him. I'm happy that he is. He's found a new home to continue streaming, and like you said, if I guess like Tarek were to fucking move, I guess I would move to YouTube, I guess. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching streams on Twitch for years and years now, and it feels like Twitch has had this monopoly on the platform for so long. So I feel like maybe YouTube's actually sort of getting there. Obviously, they're still far away, just because there are third-party apps like Franker-Z's and shit like that makes the Twitch viewer experience just a little more better when you see kick
Mocha.
W's and some other dumbass, fucking emotes pop up, I'm sure that some of those work on YouTube, maybe. I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't watch YouTube streamers, so I wouldn't know, but maybe they do. Maybe they don't. Not entirely sure, but yeah, definitely a cool power move by YouTube. Just snatch Sykkuno like that.
All right, so next, Sonic. As always, Sonic. So yeah, Sonic Prime. So this was the Netflix show, and it showed a really, really short teaser to show like the new Sonic. And he looks a little weird. He looks fine. He looks a little like, I don't know what's the word to describe it, like video gamey.
Lanky.
I guess. Yeah, kind of. And he has a new voice actor, and I think someone said he sounds like a mix of Roger Craig Smith and Ben Schwartz a little bit. I kind of agree with that. Like it's kind of like the Sonic voice. I imagine it just kind of feels a little off canny because it's not either of those two. I don't think so. But yeah, I mean, it looks fine. Like I have no problem with his new voice. I don't think. And his character model again looks a little weird, but it'll probably grow on me as well. So I don't know. What do you think? Again, it's a very short trailer or like teaser. Yeah.
It's just 15 seconds, 14 actually, but. Yeah, I mean, I think Sonic looks fucking great. I am excited for a Sonic show where he looks like the actual video game character and not like Sonic Boom, kind of thing.
Yeah, I know, like Sonic Boom is a little weird. Yeah. I know the show is like pretty good, but yeah.
Yeah. That show had no right being as good as it was, if I can say that. Just seeing like the clips and shit like that, the way the fucking writers wrote jokes that were actually like very funny for like Sonic fans. But Sonic Prime, like visually, it looks good. With the whole Netflix controversy with them fucking laying off all of their like animators and whatever, that fucking sucks, obviously. But just looking at this in and of itself, it looks cool. The new voice actor, honestly, I didn't know that it was a new voice actor. I thought it was still Roger Craig Smith at first, but then he went on Twitter and was like, hey guys, that's not me. I can't reveal who that new person is, but they're very passionate and very excited to voice Sonic, and it is a fucking black guy. That's fucking cool. Like that is dope. I think that the fact that we haven't had a person of color voice Sonic since Jaleel White.
Yeah,
something like that. So, seeing him voice Sonic is cool, especially since because like I guess because I've gotten older, like when Roger Craig Smith came in as the voice of Sonic, I was like, I don't like this. But like I was a fucking dumbass kid. Now I'm like 23, I still love Sonic. So like seeing this guy voice him the way that he's doing it and showing that he's very passionate about this character and very excited to voice Sonic is very cool. I cannot fucking wait to see his performance, especially since because now we have 3 different voice actors voicing Sonic. We have the movie Sonic.
Yeah. Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz. Roger Craig Smith for Sonic. What
the
fucking
games, right?
Yeah. Fucking what's the new Sonic game called? God damn
Frontiers.
it. Sonic Frontiers. God damn it, Damian. You're a bigger Sonic fan than me. And then we have Devin. So yeah, very cool. And they are all 3 passionate about this character, and I cannot wait to see what Sonic Prime has in store for not just for kids who want to watch the show, but also for the fans, because it seems like that's a very big thing that they keep in mind when they're making Sonic stuff these days, is to like, okay, like obviously like Sonic's for kids, but like we got to make sure that longtime fans are happy and shit like that, because Twitter's gonna have a fucking storm if they're not. But yeah, honestly, I cannot wait to see how this show looks, just because this quick 10-second teaser was very, very cool. And you know, he may be a little lanky, but you know, it's Sonic. And I cannot wait to actually see a full-length trailer for this, because I think that Sonic Twitter will fucking lose their minds, and that's all I'll see on the timeline when that day comes. So
yeah, I feel like it's been teased for a while too, right? Like Sonic Prime has been like a thing for a little bit. We just didn't know anything about it, so it's gonna be nice to finally see it like in action and stuff, and see how the writing is, see how the storylines are. You know, I'm not expecting anything crazy or anything, but it's gonna be nice to have a Sonic show that's more faithful to the original character designs and stuff like that. Because I know Sonic Boom is like good, but the character design is always like off-putting to me, especially Knuckles. I still don't like how Sonic Boom
Knuckles skipped leg day.
Yeah, very very cursed looking. So yeah, it's gonna be nice to have like character models that are more like on like the game side of things. So yeah, definitely looking forward to Sonic Prime.
All right, so next bit of news is that New York City sues Activision, citing that Bobby Kotick wasn't fit to sell off the company to Microsoft. So if you read the article, it's pretty much just about them being like, Bobby Kotick, I don't think he was in a position to sell it to Microsoft. So that is kind of interesting, and they're pretty much demanding like documents showing that like other people were potentially interested in buying it, the details of the Microsoft deal itself, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I mean, how do you add more fire to the already burning building, if you will?
I mean, they make good points where it's like, yeah, basically like he had, other motives to sell it because he already knows, like, well, they're trying to figure out if he knew about all the allegations, which he probably definitely did, but he's saying he didn't. So he's saying like, okay, he already knew that this company was going to go down, so he might as well just sell it and leave a golden parachute and stuff. So now New York is being like, hey, you can't do that. Like that's like fucked up. So now to try to find the documentation about like if he knew about these things, which he probably did, because how does he not know about that? I mean, he was the one doing it too. So yeah, definitely. This is a great like sort of lawsuit, and hopefully like they get something out of this, because I know a lot of people were angry when Microsoft bought it. Like it was like two sides where people were happy that Microsoft was probably going to reform Activision Blizzard to be a better company, but it's also annoying that Bobby Kotick is going to like get off scot-free and stuff like we talked about before. But yeah, if New York could at least sue him for just a little bit of money, just some of that vindication of being like, okay, we at least got him at something, that would be nice. So hopefully this lawsuit like goes through and like they're able to get him with something, because he definitely deserved more of a punishment than just jumping out of the building with a golden parachute and being fine. So yeah, hopefully something comes out of this.
Yeah,
but yeah. Where am I? Okay. We have a lot of things. So yeah, Summer Game Fest. This is what's his face is Jeff Keighley's thing. Yep. It's starting on June 9th. It's going to be available in IMAX theaters, along with this year's Game Awards. So yeah, if you didn't know what Summer Game Fest is, it's basically Jeff Keighley's like E3 type deal. The last few years obviously didn't have much in it because E3 was already happening, but now that E3 is dead, it could be that he wants to make Summer Game Fest into it's like basically E3. At least that's what I think he's gonna do. I don't think it's ever gonna be as big as E3, because probably big companies like, well, we left E3 so we wouldn't have to deal with that. So no, but it could happen because he's been getting a lot of big announcements in the Game Awards, where I thought the Game Awards had better game announcements than like E3 at some points. So I definitely think Jeff Keighley has more connections than the ESA ever did. So I definitely think he might try to rebrand Summer Game Fest into like E3 essentially. At least that's what I've been getting the vibe of. Maybe not this year, but probably next year. He definitely wants to like lean in and like get more companies to show off their things in this Summer Game Fest. But as of right now, I don't know how well this one's gonna do. I know the last one was kind of like whatever, so it was like a lot of indie stuff. But who knows? Yeah, it could be a rebirth of E3, because I think E3 at this point is kind of dead. I don't know if it's coming back next year. So, yeah.
I mean, look, he teased Sonic Frontiers, so Sonic Twitter's already all on board. They're like, Sonic.
Oh, shit.
I mean, in this, I guess the tweet. It was like a sizzle reel of like different games, and like Starfield, Sonic Frontiers, Star Wars Eclipse, and Calypso Protocol. So
right, well,
hey, look, if they show Sonic Frontiers gameplay, everyone's gonna lose their fucking shit. But yeah, I mean, is cool. I think that the fact that he's gonna have it in IMAX theaters is gonna be an interesting experience. Personally, I'm not gonna be going there because I feel like if I'm gonna freak out over Sonic, I'm gonna do it in my own home, so no one's fucking looking at me, judging me like, holy shit, that guy really loves Sonic. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you're interested in something like this, obviously you can go to select IMAX theaters within your area and check it out. But obviously this event is going to be streamed worldwide to everyone else. So, yeah, and I feel like for the Game Awards, that might be a little more interesting for IMAX. But then again, you know, they always do special announcements and shit like that. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like that this is a niche that's like, if you want to do it, you can, but obviously there's still going to be the online thing and it's going to be for free. So this is something that if you really, really want to do with like your group of friends that are all like super interested within like gaming news and the gaming industry and shit like that. So
yeah, it's like you said, I think it might be a better idea for the Game Awards. But even then, they're like really long. So I don't know if I don't know if I want to stay there for like 3 hours, like watching this. Most I need a pee and then you like run into like lobby. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's kind of, I'd rather just watch it at home. And sometimes you have some like resident sleeper moments. I'm just on my phone now. So. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool idea though. I think that's actually really neat of an idea for him to do. So yeah, kind of on board on that. But just kind of see what the announcements are now, are we? Because that's what it always comes down to.
All right, so next we're going to get into some entertainment news. So first up, details on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse were revealed at CinemaCon. So the first 15 minutes were shown. I'm not going to say what those were, but you can read the article. I read some of it, and it seems to be pretty cool in terms of what they're doing to open the movie. There are 1,000 people working on this movie, which that's I believe is the biggest animated project to have this many people working on it. So this shit gonna be pog. This shit gonna look fucking crazy. They're gonna make sure every single frame is gonna look great. Like when you get a frame, you can post on Twitter and it's fucking art. There's 240 characters.
Oh my
that
God.
Is crazy. 6 universes. And part 2 is officially called Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse. So that's pretty cool instead of just calling it, you know, part 1, part 2. Obviously, you know, they're doing the sort of Avengers Infinity War Endgame kind of ordeal. But yeah, I mean, like just details like that. I'm pretty excited for it. You know, they do have the first 15 minutes done, guys. So that's good. Woo, that's good to know. That's good to know. But, you know, we won't be seeing this movie until sometime next year. But it is what it is. Can't rush perfection, as I always say. But yeah, I'm still very, very excited, especially because just reading the article and seeing what's described as the first 15 minutes was pretty cool opening, if I can say that.
I just I hope it doesn't. I mean, this is the issue we always have with the Spider-Man stuff, like the last few ones, or like you know, hopefully it doesn't get like too much stuff in it where it just can't do it. And I think No Way Home did it really well. Like I think it didn't feel too bloated. I mean, it had a lot going on, but for the most part, I think they did pretty well. Like, you know, Spider-Man 3 and Amazing Spider-Man 2 have that issue. So hopefully Spider-Verse doesn't have that issue as well, because 240 characters across 6 universes sounds like a lot. Obviously, most of them are probably going to be for like 1 second, like cameos or something. But still, it's a lot. So hopefully it all comes down to like a nice, like condensed thing. Because even Spider-Verse 1 had a lot of characters. And that was only like, what, like 7 like Spider-Men or something? Spider-People. So, yeah, hopefully it doesn't run into that like fabled Spider-Man problem having way too much in it, because I love Spider-Verse a lot. So hopefully this could be just as good as the first one, and hopefully the second one is just as good as well. So yeah, definitely looking forward to it, because the trailer is just so good. Alrighty, so we got more Spider-Man news. Venom 3 is in the works. Whoa! So yeah, I have yet to watch Spider-Man Venom 1 or 2 because I don't really care that much. But yeah, it's being on the work. I don't know if they actually said what it's going to be about, because they didn't watch any of them. No, that's about it. It's happening, which it doesn't surprise me, because both Venom movies did like surprisingly really well. Obviously, because it's Venom, people love Venom, especially the second one. It's like, oh, Carnage is in there, holy shit! And yeah, that kind of got butts into seats. Even if I don't know if it was in theaters. Was it in I can't remember.
Yes, it was.
Okay, it was in theaters. So yeah, like that doesn't surprise me at all. Like this is Sony's like they found something they could really milk, and they're gonna milk the shit out of it. I don't know if they're gonna make more after 3. Like they might put them in other like non-Avengers stuff. Like be like, here's our Avengers Sinister 6 movie. Here we go. So yeah, that's probably what's gonna end up happening. I guess I could talk about the other thing too. Bad Bunny is starring in El Muerto. that means dead movie. So that's a villain in Spider-Man. I actually never heard of this villain.
Bro, legit, no one's heard of this character, and like he appeared in 2 issues of of the Civil War comic, I think. I forget exactly which storyline that he appeared in, but pretty much this character has 2 fucking comics and they're trying to make a movie out of it. I think that this shit is hilarious just because they're like, we're gonna cast Bad Bunny, so like we're gonna get seats in this fucking movie either way, no matter how good or bad this is, because people love Bad Bunny, bro. Bad Bunny is one of the largest music artists in the fucking world. So him being as El Muerto in this fucking Sony Marvel Spider-Man movie or whatever the fuck is going on, who knows? Okay, I feel like everyone knows that this movie's gonna be bad, but like there's a slight chance that it can be good. But
maybe a sweep,
stop. But yeah, it is kind of crazy that they're just making a movie about this character in particular, especially since everyone's like, we want Amazing Spider-Man 3, we want Spider-Man 4 with Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire back and shit like that, especially since after No Way Home. So yeah, I mean, at this point, it's like Sony's making the wrong moves. They're announcing the wrong movies. It's like, do they even know what they want anymore? If you just want to make money, just try to make those 2 movies. And then, Andrew Garfield said that he was stepping back from acting. And someone was like shit posting and being like, yeah, he probably saw what Sony was doing with Spider-Man and said, never mind. So, but
it's just
yeah.
like why? They could get like at least like Craven or something. Like I don't know.
I mean, they are working on a Craven movie with Aaron Johnson, the guy who played Kick-Ass and Quicksilver. So
right.
That can be good. That could be good.
Yeah, it's just like, man, I like this Sony verse has been like very cursed. Like, it's just like I don't know. Like, Morbius has definitely been the one that was like, okay, this is kind of shit. Like, for some people, Venom could defend it because it's like, oh, it's just a dumb, fun movie. Like, it's fun. Venom is cool, whatever. But with Morbius, like, no one really gave a shit. Everyone just memes on it. It like did really well. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they're gonna do for Venom 3. Honestly, I really liked Venom 2 more than Venom 1 just because maybe Carnage had to do with it.
That makes sense, yeah.
But also because like it was a shorter movie, and also I think at that point they knew what they were doing. At that point, they were like, all right, well, it's Eddie Brock and the symbiote, and they're like a fucking buddy cop, and they're in this like really like weird relationship, and like it's funny to see them bicker and sort of have this like internal turmoil with each other. So that's why Venom 2 was so much fun for me personally. And because it was only less than 2 hours long, the story was moving pretty fast, and sort of stuff was happening. But with Venom 3, I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. I have no idea. What other Venom characters can they pull out? Are they going to do the fucking Donny Cates sort of new Venom run? I doubt it, because like that shit's kind of crazy. I'm going to be honest. Like the storyline in that comic, like I've only read the first like 20 some odd issues of that series, and I haven't read it in like years at this point. Like I have issues that I'm just sitting on that I haven't read yet, but people love that version of Venom, and I don't know what the fuck they're gonna do for Venom 3, because at this point this Venom is like so different from the one in the current comics, just because this one's very goofy and very Eddie Brock Jr.
I'm Eddie Brock. Yeah, so I don't know, like this I mean, if they can't get a Spider-Man for this Sonyverse, they probably are just gonna make Venom the hero at this point.
Hey, look, it could have been Andrew Garfield, but I'm sure he looked at the scripts and was like, yeah, nah.
I'm good. I think I'm done. No more Spider-Man for me.
But moving on, we got more Marvel news. John Watts exits the Fantastic Four movie that he was supposed to direct. So that's kind of crazy. Apparently that he is just stepping away from the whole superhero, just directing stuff. I guess after No Way Home, he was like, fuck, this is a bag. All right, I'm good.
I mean, it could be that. Or it could, like in the article, it just says like he just got burnt out, which doesn't surprise me, because I feel like if you've been working on all these like Spider-Man,
especially Spider-Man.
Yeah, like I feel like Spider-Man also comes with a lot higher expectations from a lot of people, so maybe he felt like he had to make them like as good as he can, and it probably just took a toll. I mean, especially No Way Home, like that was like really good, and after that he's like, I basically made like an Avengers movie with Spider-Man. So like, do I really need to make any more? Especially like, I feel like Fantastic Four probably wants to take a lot out of a person, because it's like 4 superheroes. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he just wants a break from superhero movies. Like, that doesn't surprise me, and I think he's done a good job with all the Spider-Man, like the newer Spider-Man stuff. I've really enjoyed his work. Some people might say otherwise, but I've enjoyed it. So I think he deserves sort of a break from superhero stuff. He really feels like he needs to.
And like, John Watts, like as a director, I can't really tell from his directing style, because I haven't watched his other movies, but I know that people who have watched his other movies, they've seen elements that he's done previously in the Spider-Man movies, and yeah, sure, like that's kind of cool. But I feel like for the most part, when it comes to like Marvel movies, they want someone that will just listen to what they want. They're like, all right, we want this movie to be done this way. They're like, all right, cool. Except for James Gunn and Taika Waititi, they're like, all right, guys, just fucking do what you want, because you guys obviously know more than we do. So
I've been hearing a lot about Doctor Strange being very different as well. So
yeah,
probably Sam Raimi got a lot of freedom.
Yeah. Sam Raimi, I will be seeing it tonight, so hopefully it lives up to my personal expectations. I've been seeing some tweets here and there. I haven't been reading them because I've been trying to keep my opinion not I guess like tainted yet, but I wonder who's gonna introduce the family of Marvel, Fantastic Four. But I'm also curious who's gonna be cast for them, because there's been many fan casts with Emily Blunt and John Krasinski as like Mr. Fantastic and Miss Fantastic, which I think those two could be really, really good. But I know that those two actors don't want to be tied to the whole MCU thing, because it is a big ass commitment, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but then again,
like for every movie,
yeah, it's like, all right, we need you in Avengers. You're like, fuck, all right, I guess we got to block out this amount of time for this and this. So who knows who knows who's gonna be casted and shit like that. I've seen a lot of fan castings, and most of them seem to be on the head, so in terms of like who to be what. But yeah, hopefully when we finally see whatever this Fantastic Four movie is, it's gonna be cool. Whoever directs it next, I hope that it is gonna be exciting, because I still remember when Doctor Strange 2 lost his director. It was like, oh shit, like that guy's really good with like horror and stuff. And then they fucking got Sam Raimi, and I was like, all right, like this is hype now. So but yeah, John Watts, take a break, do what you gotta do. But yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see for what happens next for the Fantastic Four.
All right. So speaking of like, I guess, delays and stuff, so the Mario movie has been delayed to April 7th of 2023. So I believe this is like basically a year delay. And
it's actually 4 months, because it's supposed to come out later this year.
Right. It was supposed to be December, I think. So yeah, apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but apparently it was leaked that it was supposed to be a musical, and like the test screenings apparently really didn't like it and thought it sucked. So apparently like they just didn't like that and like decided to be like, okay, we're gonna like do something else. Again, I don't know how true that is, because that's what I've heard everywhere. But yeah, that sounds pretty like not great. And also apparently Chris Pratt was have a Brooklyn accent, so it's supposed to do like, it's me, Mario's.
No! So that Twitter video he did, he was like, that's not actually my voice, but it was his voice. I mean,
it's a me, Mario. So. So yeah, apparently that's what been going down with this movie. I feel like this movie is definitely going to be worse than the Sonic movie, because it feels a lot more like what's the word, corporate. Like it feels like
corporate.
More,
like Nintendo has like, I guess, a little more control in terms of like what they want, instead of just letting the people who love these characters do what they want, kind of thing.
Yeah, and I mean, Illumination has always been kind of like more cookie cutter, like, oh, we make animated movies, like the Minions and stuff. Like, I mean, I like Despicable Me 1. I thought that was good. But, like, for the most part, they've been pretty, like, safe. Like, what was the other one they did? Like Secret Life of Pets or whatever. Like, it's very safe, family-friendly movies with some jokes for adults or whatever. But yeah, I feel like this movie is just going to end up being pretty generic, like in general, which is unfortunate, because I feel like there's like kind of a lot you could do with like Mario stuff, like in terms of like cool things. Like, I mean, the Mario RPGs did really well because they were able to come up with like unique ideas for them, even though it's like, oh, Mario in an RPG, that how the hell is that going to work? And they made it work. So I feel like Mario as a movie doesn't feel as far-fetched either. But I think Sonic just has more to work with in terms of storylines and stuff, and I think Sonic just has a more devoted fan base in general. So it doesn't surprise me that directors and stuff would be a little more passionate about it than Mario maybe, because like, oh, he jumps on turtles. So but yeah, I don't know how this movie's I think it's gonna end up a lot worse than Sonic, though. That's just how I'm feeling.
Yeah, and I feel weird. Like what's it called, like with the actors, like the Mario movie's just a bunch of fucking A-list actors. Yeah, it's like fucking Chris Pratt, you got fucking Charlie Day and shit like that, fucking Jack Black. Like, I'm sure that these people love Mario to like a certain extent, but when it comes to like comparatively to the Sonic movie, I'm sure Ben Schwartz was fucking ecstatic to be voicing Sonic and shit like that. So
plus, a lot of them weren't like big name actors. Like the only big name actor in the Sonic movie was like Idris Elba. like Jim Carrey, like he like in the 90s. You know what I mean? So yeah, they got a lot of like people that seem a little more passionate. I mean, they kept Tails as voice actress. Like that's something that's like really cool. Like I've been saying, because like they were just like got rid of her for like some other celebrity, but no, they just kept her there because that's Tails.
Could have got Zendaya. Fuck it. No, I'm playing.
Yeah, so it's really cool that he like wants to keep it more authentic. Like, okay, these are these characters in this like thing. So, in the Mario movie, I don't think we're gonna get that. It's just gonna be like, here's a bunch of celebrities doing like Mario and Luigi. I mean, Charlie Day as Luigi is pretty sick, but like, it's kind of like, you know, still whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they got delayed, they got delayed. I'm sure that they wanted to hit it for Christmas because it's like, I want to go see the Mario movie for Christmas. Like, parents are like, shit, that's a cheap gift. Let's go. But now it's going to come out in early next year. So hopefully it still does well. I mean, Miyamoto said in a statement that they decided to push it. And, you know, his deepest apologies, but I promise it will be worth the wait. I'm sure, you know, after the last Mario movie, they were like, fuck, we gotta make sure this shit's right. But if the whole, like, rumors of the test screenings with the musical thing are true, oh boy. It's gonna
be a fun time.
Honestly, I feel like when most people think of a Mario movie, they just want to, like, a sort of, like, adventure movie with, like, funny jokes and shit like that with like Mario characters and, you know, trying to say Princess Peach or whatever, you know, nothing too deep and nothing too crazy, you know. A whole ass musical, you getting Chris Pratt to sing as Mario, that's crazy. But yeah, obviously we still know nothing about this just because, like we talked about previously, Nintendo's very secretive and very hush hush about what they do with everything. But one of these days something's gonna fucking leak. So but we're just gonna have to wait and see.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. It's gonna be such a shit show.
Next thing we got here is probably the final Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series trailer. So this trailer we actually get to see a little bit of Darth Vader, so that's pretty pog. That was pretty fucking cool. This is 100% the most hyped up Star Wars show by far. Even like past The Mandalorian, when people were watching The Mandalorian, they didn't know how good that show was going to be.
Yeah.
People have expectations for this show, including myself, because if you're a Star Wars fan, you probably watch the Clone Wars. You probably watch Obi-Wan and Anakin grow more together and see that relationship foster. And now, you know, it's after Order 66. It's been 10 years after those events, and you get to see Obi-Wan, you know, sort of just, you know, walking around, you know, trying to be the Jedi master that he is. And, you know, you have still trying to find him because he's fucking hiding, obviously for a good reason. So I believe this is another 6-episode Disney Plus series.
6 episodes,
hopefully there's enough content to satisfy everyone. I feel like if every single episode's a banger, then they've done their job, you know. Apparently there's going to be a fight with Darth Vader and Obi-Wan, so when that fight comes on, everyone's going to lose their mind on the fucking timeline. 100%.
That's gonna be cool because you know, in the original trilogy, when they Obi-Wan and Darth Vader fight, it's very not good because it was like the first lightsaber duel ever, so it's very slow and not very exciting. So it's gonna be cool to see like a more energetic version of that, you know, because you know you feel
with
like
actual choreography.
Yeah, with actual, like, obviously not as crazy as Revenge of the Sith where they're doing like flips and shit like everywhere. There's probably gonna be a little more grounded than that, but I feel like an actual fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan is gonna be really cool just because, you know, Anakin should be very pissed at him. You know what I mean? So I feel like we never really got that in the original trilogy, obviously, because they didn't like have the prequels written out. But now with all that context from the Clone Wars and the prequels and all that, I feel like we could have a more like I guess emotional version of this. So yeah, that I think that's gonna be pretty sick if we could see that. Also, like the choice of music they did in this trailer is really good as well. And just making Darth Vader like this like threatening force is like really nice. I think that's like probably the one thing that I think no one could disagree with is in the more recent Star Wars stuff is I think there's a good job with Darth Vader making him feel like this like impossible OP character. Like every time he walks on screen, he's just like, oh shit. I don't know. Did you beat what was the game? I always forget the name. Last Force Awakens Jedi.
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. There you go. Did you beat that?
No, but
okay. I won't say anything then. But there's a point where it's like, oh shit. So yeah, they do good. They do good with that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'm really happy to like see that still going. But yeah. Hopefully it doesn't like I know the Boba Fett. I need to watch Boba Fett still, but I know like
you don't need to. It's fine.
I know, but I kind of do because I know some parts are kind of gonna be important for Mandalorian season 3. I know I could probably just skip the rest and just watch those 2 episodes or something, but I still probably have to watch it just like in principle. So, but hopefully don't drop the ball like that. Hopefully it's like a consistent bangers like you said, because you know I think we both love Obi-Wan. Like we know we like that dynamic with Anakin and Obi-Wan. So seeing them sort of like I guess, reconnect. Not really, because, you know, they hate each other. But it's
Yeah.
gonna be, well, I guess Anakin does, but yeah, it's gonna be good. I think it's gonna be. Hopefully it's good.
Look, if there's anyone who hates Star Wars more, it's the fucking fans.
Yeah,
so,
basically, yeah.
If this shit flops, it's over. It's 100% over. But I got faith that it's not. I have a feeling that they know the stakes for this show. They know how important Obi-Wan and this story with Anakin, how important this shit is to the fans, that they are hopefully trying their damnedest to not fuck it up.
Yeah, and Disney must know that.
That is my
like,
hope. That is my only hope.
Yeah, because I know, like, it's really only, like, Mandalorian that people really, really enjoy from the Disney, like, the new Disney stuff. So, like, they kind of been batting
And that's
out.
a whole new character. And that's
Yeah,
a whole
that's a
new
whole-
sort
that's a-
of
yeah,
side story.
Yeah, like, he's, like, a whole new thing. So, if they fuck this up, I feel like they're never going to hear the end of it. Like, people are really obnoxious with the sequels, like, saying how bad they are. Like, that would be times 10 if this show's bad. So, hopefully it's not.
Because, you know, it's just like when anything comes out and people are fucking hating it, years later, it's like, man, I love Spider-Man 3 by Sam Raimi. It's like, do you though?
I remember when the prequels came out, everyone hate them, and now everyone's saying they're the best things ever, and like they're not. Like I like a lot of things about the prequels, but like the acting and like just the overall movie quality is like not great. Like the fights are cool. I like a lot of the world building and like all the things they set up, but like the movies themselves are still like pretty bad. So yeah, I don't know.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I guess I'll take the helm for this last story. So the Washington Post published a story about TSM. They are, I believe it was just reported that they're still the largest esports organization by like the dollar value, like by a long shot too. Apparently there are some things going on with the CEO, with contractors and employees, even people higher up are at risk of getting fired if they step on the wrong toes of Reggie. So, and I mean, as a person who's been following TSM since I got into League, which was 2014, TSM was the first team I followed a lot. That was when they got Bjergsen and Wild Turtle and X Special.
I remember all that. I remember that.
Odd One Diaries. Like that was my TSM roster, and you know I followed TSM through and through. You know, and then most recently this last split where they got like all of those like Chinese players and shit like that, and like it was Spica who he or Huni, tactical, and then the imports. I was like, I'm not really a big fan of TSM, and also with the whole like controversies and like Double If who's also a legacy player on TSM, straight up came out and was like, yeah, Reggie's a fucking asshole. While still signed with TSM, he straight up said that. I was like, what the fuck? Obviously, like, he's not just saying this shit just to say it. Like, he obviously has reasons to say it. So, and it's obviously showing with this Washington Post article, people being like, like, if you ask the wrong question, you may get fired. Like, and like, there's a quote here that I am going to read. That was when Andy told the whole company that the HR person was let go because he asked a question that Andy didn't like, said a former TSM employee. I think he realized how ridiculous it sounded, so he followed up by saying, well, he asked 2 questions that I didn't like. No one wants to ask questions after that. Yes, 100%. No matter what environment you're in, if you ask a question and then the response is you're fired or like you're stupid and you're dumb, you're not gonna fucking ask questions. Obviously, that's why teachers say there's no dumb questions, but sometimes there are dumb questions in reality. But you know, that just because someone asks a dumb question doesn't mean like they're trying to push your buttons. You know, like when they're working for you, they're trying to make sure that they're doing what you want, right? And like there's a later part in this article where like people are working and like they're fucking like putting in hours and hours and hours, and then like Andy's like, I don't want this. It's like, what the fuck, bro? What do you want, bro? So, you know, it's sort of like this game of them trying to play like, what is he thinking? What does he actually want? Like, he told us to do this, but what does he actually want? So it seems like there's a reason why Lena left TSM, Double F left TSM, Myth left TSM, Bjergsen left TSM. All of these like legacy TSM names just left. And like honestly, like today, like the only TSM thing that I follow is the Valorant team, because I love Subrosa and I love the new players that they picked up with Rossi and Corey, and even the other two with Seven and GMD. Like, those players are fucking cracked out of their minds, and they are super fun to watch. And I'm happy that they qualified. But TSM as an organization, obviously, like, they're fucking huge, they're fucking big, and there's a reason why people don't speak out and retaliate against TSM, because if you get fired from TSM, it's like, well, what happened there? Sort of thing. Like, word gets around, the other orgs are going to hear from Andy himself, be like, yeah, no, that guy's a shit worker. So, like, now they can't even find another job within the space of esports because that's what they want to work in. So you kind of just have to take it to the chin and just sort of, like, deal with it, which is why a lot of these statements are sort of, like, anonymous, and they don't want to, like, put their name out there. But, yeah, I mean, like, I've always known that Reginald was a fucking, asshole. So.
I was about to say that, yeah. Like, I don't think it was, like, I think it was pretty well known that Reggie was always kind of, like you said, like an asshole. Just throughout the years. Like, even, I also follow TSM, like, back then when I was, like, playing League and stuff. Like, the original team roster is kind of what I remembered, like, pretty fondly. Mm-hmm. And I know Reggie was always the one, like, he was always, like, yelling and, like, being a weirdo. Like, he's always, like, really aggressive about a lot of things. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of, like you shouldn't do that. So as TSM grew, it makes sense that maybe his ego grew. Maybe he felt like, like, he always had a competitive spirit, like he said in the article. It's like, oh, I hate to lose and stuff. But, when you're, like, a CEO of a company, you're supposed to be, like, way more reserved. You're supposed to collect yourself. You're supposed to, like, direct a bunch of things at once. And yeah, that's probably stressful, but I feel like yelling at your employees and making them quit with, like, high turnover rates probably isn't the best thing to be doing. And we see the same thing with contractors with, like, Nintendo, where we talked about in the beginning of the podcast, where they're treated like shit. They get, they'll get the benefits or whatever. Reggie still yells at them like crazy. The thing with the no questions, where no one could say anything without being fear of getting fired. Even the article says, even if you're, like, a higher up person, you basically could get fired too. It's like, like, a lot of the managers and stuff, they said only like, the shortest one lasted for, like, 4 months until they quit, which is, like, outrageous. You think with such a high turnover rate, they really would look at themselves and be like, okay, what's going on here? But it seems like Reggie has a bit of an ego and, like, doesn't want to admit, like, he's really the issue here, when almost everyone at TSM is saying, yeah, he's basically the issue here. There's probably a lot of underlying issues as well, but it seems like a lot of this article is focused on Reggie himself being like, no one wants to talk to him because he would just yell at you and, like, make you feel like shit, like, publicly too. Like, there's a lot of things in the article that says he publicly shames people, like, over on Discord or Slack and things like that, which is just super unprofessional. Like, I don't care, like, where you are, like, you shouldn't be publicly, I mean, you shouldn't be shaming anyone in general, but publicly shaming people is always like, what are you doing, so. And,
like, people were so scared to talk to Reggie one-on-one. The article also states that people had to, like, double up. It's like, hey, bro, you got a meeting with Reggie? Yeah. We gotta do this shit together, bro. So, like, he doesn't yell at, like, both of us when we're both there,
Yeah.
Which is also fucking crazy. It's like, you're that scared to talk to, like, your boss or whatever. Like, I'm sure that, me and Damian both work part-time jobs. When I have to talk to, like, my, I guess, like, store manager, it's not like, I'm scared of him. It's just that I don't talk to him that much. So it's like, and, like, I know that he has the power to fire me. So obviously, like, there's a power there's a power dynamic there, but I'm not afraid to, like, if there was something, like, really big and, like, a big issue, like, or, like, a question that I had that was, like, important that only he could answer, I wouldn't be afraid to ask. But then again, there's people below him that, I can ask those questions, hopefully, freely and not, get fired for them. So, but yeah. And then, like, the whole thing with contractors, once again, we see people working hours and hours and hours on end. And, like, it seems like that they are in violation of a California law where there has to be, like, 3 things that are met, where, like, contractors are supposed to be free to work whenever they want, sort of on their own schedule. And, like, obviously they treat them like full-time employees, which, that can be a big thing. That can be a huge fucking lawsuit and a huge law that TSM broke. Intentionally, unintentionally, doesn't really matter. They broke that law. So, yeah, I mean, it sucks because, like, this is sort of like, when you look at esports, working in esports as a whole is sort of like a circus in a sense, because it's kind of like, all right, like, hopefully I can pay my bills. And especially since, because, like, the amount that they were getting paid was under $5,000 below the minimum for designated contractors. $54K is a lot of money. But then again, you're living in fucking California.
Yeah.
Rent,
the cost of living is way higher.
Yeah, rent could be $5K alone. Yeah. So, like, paying below that is still kind of crazy. So it just seems like that TSM just like behind the scenes is just doing a lot of shady shit. So
yeah, again, whenever they have the contractors basically do a full-time employee's job, and just don't get any of the benefits or anything, that's always going to be like, yeah, that's a little sus. Especially when Reggie's still yelling at them anyway. So it's like, what the hell? So yeah, it really seems like just like a whole issue here. I think it really just comes down to like Reggie like being kind of a dickhead and not really taking any criticism and just firing anyone that asks dumb questions and stuff, which is like obviously not a way to run a business or anything. I'm surprised he even made it this far, like being like that. He says he has a high standard of work and stuff, but later in the article, people say he has like an impossible standard of work where nothing's really good enough. And like you said, like he's like, oh, you gotta read his mind. Like he doesn't just tell you. Like you just have to like make sure the results are good. Which is obviously impossible. Like a boss or CEO should just tell you like what they want, and then you just make it for them, and then they should just be happy with it. And if you
if they're not, you criticize in a civil way. That's not yelling at them and scrutinizing them in front of everyone.
Yeah, because that's like what a kid does. Like you're supposed to like like here's your feedback. Like you write it down and be like, okay, I kind of want it like this, and they'd be like, okay, well we'll get that done for you. Like obviously there's gonna be deadlines and stuff, and things are gonna get crazy anyway. But I feel like the added stress of like your CEO always yelling at you and shit isn't gonna help. So, yeah. But again, we both followed TSM for a while, like back in the day, and it was already kind of known that Reggie was kind of an asshole. So this behavior, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't seem too surprising.
Yeah, and I was very surprised when like Double It first came out, and like a lot of the players were like, yeah, nah, that never happened to me. I was like, Wild Turtle, there's literally footage of you getting yelled at by Reggie, and you were just sitting there and like Expression was like trying to like defend for you and shit like that. I was like, what the fuck? But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just them trying to secure their future within esports, being like, hey, TSM, they're cool. But obviously, like with stories like this coming out and maybe even like legal, fucking ramifications because they literally broke some laws according to this story, we're just gonna have to wait and see exactly what happens with TSM and in its capacity, because like 100 Thieves came in like maybe 5 years ago, something like that, and like they were ranked number 2 in like high in like dollar value within like esports teams. But then again, like they sell like merch and like a lot of content, or not sell content, but they make a lot of content and they have a lot of big names on the org and shit like that. So yeah, this could be the start of the downfall of TSM, because they literally took like 9th place in the LCS last split. So
oof.
Yeah, really fucking bad. So I'm sure Andy was not happy with those results, but yeah, will I continue to support TSM? I have not supported TSM in a while. If I'm cheering for the Valorant team, it's because I'm cheering for the players, not necessarily for the org. I feel like it's been a while since I've cheered for the org, just because of what happened at Worlds with Bjergsen and Doublelift, and that I didn't pan out so well. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like that's I feel like that's the case for most sports things. At a certain point, you're probably just cheering for the players at that point, because that's what you really. It's kind of like what I was saying with the Twitch streamers and stuff. Like, they're in this organization, they're in this team, but you're mostly cheering for that player at that point, or a group of players, because you like them, right? So it's kind of what all that matters. Because wasn't I forgot, Double F was like, where was he originally? He wasn't in TSM. Like
Double F was on the rival LCS team CLG, and then he joined TSM. Yeah. Because CLG didn't want him anymore, so then he was like, I'll join TSM because TSM is fucking Bjergsen, and Bjergsen's insane. Yeah. And then he went to Team Liquid because TSM didn't want Double Lift anymore. And then Team Liquid was finding success with Tactical, so they didn't see a need to have a Double Lift. So, and then it was like, okay, I'm gonna go back to TSM because the ADC that they had, Kabi, I felt bad for Kabi, honestly. My man came from EU, joined TSM, one split, didn't go so well. He gets kicked. I'm like, fuck, man. He didn't even play that bad. Like he was a pretty good AD carry, but and then they bring in Double Live because they already had Biofrost again. So and then they had Spica and Broken Blade, and then they made that losers bracket run to Worlds, which was fucking insane. And then after that they got 0-6 at Worlds, so they didn't win a single game. So a lot of stuff happened there. And then I think after that, Double Live wanted to play for TSM still, but there was like this whole like drama with him like trying to like figure out like what the team was, and like Reggie needed like an answer right then and there. Like that's a whole other sort of like drama there.
Yeah.
But pretty much he wanted to play for TSM, but Reggie kind of forced him to retire because Doubler's not going to join a fucking 8th place LCS team just to play, you know? Like he wants to play to win, and obviously like a lot of these tier 1 orgs already secured their ADC players, so it sort of forced him into retirement, but it seems like he's enjoying content creation still, especially because he's just able to just freely talk about stuff, co-stream the LCS broadcast whenever that happens over the weekend, and yeah, you know, so
this is a nice way to chill, man. Like, be a pro player, just be a streamer, like, and then you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it may have been meant to happen, but obviously, like, he wanted to still continue playing because he is still like pretty good. Like, honestly, I think that if he wanted to come back, he could, but obviously, he just needs the right team around that, you know, environment and shit like that. But yeah, it is what it is. I wonder what's going to happen with TSM from here on out, but obviously people are not looking them in the brightest of lights, and it's nothing to do with the players. So like anyone that's rooting for, you know, TSM Apex, I know that they're pretty good. I know TSM Rainbow Six, they're pretty good as well. Don't put it against them. It's got nothing to do with them. They're just playing the game.
Yeah, again, like, it's mostly about the organization and mostly about Reggie, which, yeah, like, that's, hopefully they could fix that, but I feel like it's gonna be hard just because he's like kind of the CEO. So I feel like something will happen, but, you know, probably not for a little bit. Not until they figure out like restructuring and stuff, which is always like a pain.
Yeah, but is there anything else you'd like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's everything.
All right. Well, one last thing. Fucking FaZe doesn't have a G Fuel sponsor anymore. I think they went to Ghost. I think they went to Ghost Gaming or some shit. But that's pretty cool. But also kind of surprising because I feel like when I associate FaZe Clan or when I associate G Fuel, I think of FaZe Clan. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it seems kind of weird that they ended that partnership after so long. But
yeah, that seems weird, right? Like, I feel like they're like both branded together at this point. Like, it's like, yeah, this is the ultimate gamers and like G Fuel. So yeah, that does feel kind of weird, but okay.
It is what it is. All right, so thank you guys for watching this episode of the Travis and Damian podcast. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Oh yeah, later.